Kind of has it coming.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sorry, I hit start on stream.
Oh, that's the first. That's the first words of the stream, is it?
Yeah.
That's not a very good YouTuber.
No, not in the
Let it be known.
slightest. Holy
I'll
shit.
scream it to the heavens.
I like it when people make fun of map.
It's true.
No, it's true, and I agree. I don't think that's a hot take, and if it is, well, people can die mad about it.
On the scale of bad YouTubers, Pat's not like the worst.
He's not a Logan Paul.
Pretty.
But he's not
Not
good.
Logan Paul. He's not a Cinema Sense.
God. Yeah.
He's pretty bad though.
Oh!
Oh. I think she exploded when you killed her.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, you know, making fun of MatPat. I thought I could just take out that enemy pretty easily, and the answer was absolutely not.
Too many subscribers. You cannot defeat MatPat.
It's true. Also, this just feels so much louder today than it did yesterday, so I'm turning it down just a smidge. Just a touch. And we'll change it back if we have to, but oh boy. Maybe it's because we just started out the stream with that horrible lady just screaming and then blowing up.
Yeah. She did drop a lot of opium when she exploded, at least.
Perfect, because I think we were all out.
When I run out of opium.
It's the worst. I need that opium. What were we doing? We were gonna go meet the Ascalon Club, weren't we?
Yeah, we got some vampire friends to talk to, and also potentially some human friends wandering around the streets somewhere.
Yeah. Ooh. What other quests do we have? We still have to find more Braille. This is all done. Got lots of people that we need to heal, but can't heal, which is unfortunate.
We got a few we can as well.
Yeah.
Some point when we get around to it.
Just these two folks, which, like, we could do now, but we might as well meet the club since...
Yeah, some of them might be able to.
Right?
Actually, the
Chew?
vampires, they're probably not. Chew's here!
Hi, you Chew as rating with a party of 10. Kaysh and the gang welcome you.
Welcome in, friends. Y'all got here, like, literally right as we started.
Yeah.
How is it going? How are y'all doing? I am chomping on a boy. But yeah, welcome in, friends. Chew, how are you doing? How was stream? What were you doing? Can you just pause this dead quick?
Pokemon? I think it was Pokemon? Oh, I can do shoutouts so I can see if it was Pokemon.
Nah, beat you to it. I've done it. Was Legends Arceus. Arceus or
That's
Arceus?
Pokemon.
Which do you say? Do you say it like it's a butt or
Arceus, always.
Okay, so it's a
Always
butt.
It's but Pokemon.
Also, Cyril, hi.
Cyril.
Yeah, welcome in, Raiders. How are y'all doing? How was
Some
stream?
of them are a bit poorly, but most of them are doing great.
Yeah, the human juice boxes could be doing better, but we're gonna make them all feel great and delicious again. I mean, really tasty. I mean, very nummy. But yeah, hi friends. Chew and pals, y'all have probably been streaming for a little bit. If y'all got a raid and run, feel free to do so. It's important that you take care of your dang selves.
Just in case everyone does raid and run.
Grip it and rip it. Hold on, wait.
Oh, I had that one.
Hell yeah! Yeah, that's what I was saying. Do you say Arceus with an S or a K? And I'd say it with a K,
Arceus.
but you know,
Arceus.
it could just be, it could be ass. It could be like ass.
Assmon.
Arceus.
Pokeball.
You had a loading issue. It's fine. You're here now. To know that Chew can't read, I didn't, but I can't say I'm not surprised.
double grippy rippy, the miracle of 2 at once.
We got a double grippy rippy. Do I say that with all love intended? But no, I was just saying, if y'all got a raid and run, feel free to do so. It's important that you take care of your dang selves. We literally just started not even 5 minutes ago, so we will be here for a bit. As per usual, I offer content warnings for everything that we play. This game has been pretty mild, as far as content warnings are concerned, but it's still important to know what kind of content you're getting yourself into.
It's safe here, Chew. We only bully MatPat, the terrible YouTuber.
Hey, Chew, I love you, and you're wonderful, and you're a delight, and I love seeing you. And I'm glad that you're here. We bully MatPat here, it's true, absolutely.
It's fun and good to do.
It is, it's highly encouraged, and in fact, kind of necessary. You have to, I think, is the thing. I will not be giving context for any of that. All y'all need to know is that this is a safe zone to bully MatPat. That's a big dog. That's a dogman. That lady blew up again.
I think they might just explode the gunplay.
Yeah. Now we know.
It's the thing to do.
And we just have to stay back once she has no health again. And that's a good thing that we can do. I don't know what I'm saying. It's just words. It's just words that are coming out of my mouth at the moment. MatPat, more like, put. Got him. It's very good. That man just dodged out of the way. And I need him not to.
That's just a theory. A damn theory.
Please. None context. You don't get any. You can want the context all you want. You're not getting none. It's fine. Don't worry about it, friends. How is
trying
everyone?
to find a quote from a boy, and we couldn't find it, and then we had the genius flash of insight to look in the video where he bullies MatPat. That's all.
Yeah, it's
also
not...
MatPat makes a lot of very bad videos on YouTube.com.
It's true. Do I need an excuse to make fun of the man? Absolutely not. But no, let's go say hi to some stupid, dumb vampire idiots. But yeah, how's everyone doing today? Welcome in, friends. I opened up the soda and then just didn't drink it. I should do that.
Gotta hydrate. This game is all about hydrating, proper hydration.
He wished that on himself. He did that to himself. He could have not. It would have been better had he not.
The Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club summoned.
Just got back from Pride festivities. You were sweaty and gay.
I received an invitation.
Perfect.
I'm Dr. Jonathan
Perfect. We love a sweaty gay here. I hope it was fun. I hope it was a good time.
Then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed.
Welcome
Lord
home.
Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
God, these guys are already insufferable.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Can I attack
Ascalon
him?
Club.
No, I'm not allowed to have my
Gonna
weapon at all.
Leave that out. Those were a classy place.
No.
There has been quite a battle here.
Stupid.
Oh, did the cat in?
I mean,
I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the.
yeah, we are an 18+ space. I say fuck a lot is the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, we are 18+. I swear and talk about naughty things all of the time. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. I'm sorry. Where am I going? Oh my god. Yeah, here, hold on a second.
Say no, I think. See?
Listen. Is that it? Or is it just 18? I don't remember what my command is. Fuck, it is just 18. Okay.
I think it's all the way through the house and out the other side.
Yeah. I got embarrassed. I
You
ran
can
through
say
their-
"cum bomb gay rave" here. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
not-
You can definitely say that. I'm dead. Hey, it's a great day. Doing very well right now.
Everything's
Oh.
very normal and in control of the situation.
Oh god. I'm not allowed to talk about bad twinks before we stream. Or I have to talk about bad twinks before we stream always. Maybe is the thing. Hi, welcome to stream. It's mildly unhinged here on some days. Where am I going and why can't I loot more than I currently am? Where is everybody?
You could pawn all of this. Just stuff everything. Just stuff all the portraits in your cart.
Got endless pockets. It can all fit in there. Let's freaking go. Oh.
We can put down like 100 units of aluminium scrap if we need to make room.
Do have a lot. I found them. I found all of them.
They're behind a curtain. How do we get there?
Oh!
Oh.
I guess that's how.
Good evening.
Look at these stuffy nerds. They all look the same!
Yeah. How are they all fucking balding when they're vampires?
My good friends,
Maybe
if I
they
may
just
have your
they thin
attention,
their hair and shave it back just so they
behold
fit in a
our
little
visitor, the
more.
Good Dr. Reed, newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansha was no match for him.
Fergal was an
Oh, he's
idiot.
a thrall.
Might be. that's the
Come forward,
juice
young
box they
icon.
keep on hand.
For we have so
Makes
much
sense.
to discuss.
He's actually 10. It's been a rough life.
Welcome to the
being a
Ascalon
juice
Club, Dr.
box.
Reed. I am Lord
I
Redgrave,
will not hear
Earl
you
of
out on
Bristol and
Redgrave.
Chairman of the Spruce Association.
Jew, normally
Lord Redgrave.
we're on the same page.
At
This
last
is
we
this is
meet.
not one of those
I've been
situations.
eager to make
Jonathan,
your acquaintance.
absolutely.
I've heard some astounding things about you.
Dr.
Jonathan's
Boyfriend,
Dr. Boyfriend, 100%.
absolutely.
Please accept my condolences for your loss.
Disgusting comb over vampire. Nah, fam.
Lady Ashbury
Get
expressed
the
your wish
comb
to
over
meet
vampire
Yes.
out of here.
The lady has always been a useful acquaintance. the
Dead.
always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yeah, Jonathan, 10 million %,
Yes, she
obviously.
is. I may even say.
Oh, I
I
didn't
admire
actually mean
her
to say
grace
that.
And her kindness.
Oh dear.
She has helped me
Ugh.
since I was reborn.
The
Lady
centuries
Ashgrave can
have
get
taught
fucked,
me never to
though.
trust
I
a
don't
woman
like her.
completely, especially
Never
if she's
trust a
woman.
woman, I agree.
Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too
Sir?
fickle when it comes to important
This man's a gamer.
decisions.
Do not expect me to speak ill of
Oh
Lady
no.
Of course not, and I praise
Does
your
his
loyalty.
does his braless
Would you
wife
offer
come
the
into the
same
room with a
fidelity to the
sandwich to feed
Empire?
him?
What do you mean?
I speak of the skull plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open
I
up
need
a
to not be
second
in this
front
room with these
here.
stinky
The epidemic
boys.
has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Or, and hear me out, we do.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the
Consider.
Guard of Crewen, have even launched an open hunt.
Queen's probably a
The
vampire.
only way to calm things down is to put
No,
an
she's
end
dead.
to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources?
Vampires don't
Lizzie
die.
is in a box, but you know, she might get back out of it in a few hundred years.
Straight to the point, like all eager
Just
new
doing a
lads.
big nap right
We
now.
shall have time to talk
Yeah.
about all this.
Big
I
sleepy
believe that the
vamping
royal
nap.
family are all
I
disgusting
should like
monsters
to
of
get
some
to know you
kind.
better.
Creatures of
Ghouls.
darkness.
Is
Yeah,
that
no,
the only
100%.
reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon,
Oof.
made such a powerful progeny of his sister.
Get that
You
laundry
have not learned
done.
the name of your maker.
Thank you for the lurk, though, Chew, and thanks for the raid. You're wonderful, and it's nice to see you. He asked me a thing.
How
We're just gonna
dare
yell
you
at him a
speak
little
so
bit.
flippantly of my family.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes.
Excuse me?
But whatever your
Probably
lineage,
paying more attention to this
you
horrible
are
man.
definitely Ascalon
Yeah.
material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club and to
I
serve me as such.
Don't wanna be.
Before
Don't-
I accept, I have so many
I mean, it
questions.
didn't look like I had an option, really.
What
It's
does
fine.
it mean?
We know
to be a
he's
member
just
of
joining
Ascalon
because
Club?
It means that you
Kid
swear to
stands
protect the
to
interests of the crown,
benefit from
that you become
saying
a
that he's
loyal
one of them
servant
now.
of the British
Nah,
Empire.
for sure. But
It's
also, I would
Jonathan.
like.
He absolutely does not trust these people or
Do you
any
have
other
any
people.
official recognition from the government?
Still
A
like to
charter
tell this
from
man
His
to
Majesty the King?
No.
jog on.
Of course, the
but,
Ascalon
you know.
Club publicly
Yeah.
supports the Empire.
Couch!
The true
You
nature
get
of
a
its members
couch!
remains a secret.
I'm excited for you. Getting a couch is
Am I
exciting.
supposed to follow
Not
orders?
having to sit on your
As
bed
founder and
anymore
chairman
is
of the club, I alone am
exciting.
entitled to make demands of our members.
Couch.
And I do appreciate obedience.
I expect pictures, if and when you get it.
What is the Ascalon
Get very
Club's
excited about
express
furniture
purpose?
purchases.
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest
Also, I can't
knight
move the
who ever
camera,
lived.
by the way.
As was
We're just
he, we
zoomed
are
in
sworn to
specifically
defend
on
the British Empire.
Jonathan.
Profile shot of Jonathan as he does absolutely nothing and
What
just
does
listens to a
Ascalon
man
mean?
talk.
Ascalon was the lance wielded by
Who
St.
you
George,
can't see,
glorious
not
patron
allowed.
saint of England, when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nations.
If you're having to sit on your bed always, that's why you were taking so many dang naps, friend. Consider.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not
Yes,
exactly. William
peaches.
Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
Ugh, okay.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all Skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
Okay.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news.
You can tell
good
that he
news
was,
indeed in these crucial times. Let's
You know,
inform
they
the
didn't
assembly
really care
formally
about him
and
because his
proceed
job
with
was
your
to actually do
initiation.
things instead
My
of just
initiation.
sit around
Stand
being
around?
smug.
Nothing
Yeah.
fancy,
Talking about
It is just that we,
how
the
we need
members
to
of
protect
Ascalon,
the queen.
believe that tradition and
Yeah.
custom are the backbone of this country.
Is it? How long? How long was the queen?
My
Queen?
fellow members,
Seems like
dear
forever, but
friends,
I think it's
please
a
gather
king.
and welcome this Ekon
I think it's a
as one
king
of
at
our
this
own.
point.
Is he worthy?
Oh God.
Is his
Sorry.
blood pure?
It's 1918.
Well,
Queen
speak,
wasn't
Dr. Reed,
queen until
in
like
front of the most sacred blood,
the
the blood
30s?
of our beloved
40s?
William
Still an
I-
insanely
Speak
long
now.
time for the
Yeah,
queen to be queen, but
Will you serve and
I don't-
protect the
I don't-
crown as
I
he
don't know
did?
shit is the thing. I'm literally just
It's
throwing
fine.
numbers out there.
I should
Yes.
probably know.
No.
Because I'm from the ridiculous
Then,
fantasy,
young Ekon,
whimsical
it is time
island
to
where
taste
we
the blood
have
with your blood.
kings and queens and goblins and things.
It is time
Hold on,
to
I'm looking.
sign the book. of
1952 is when she became queen. Is when Elizabeth was
allegiance. I
queen.
know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic,
That's still an
but
obscenely
England's
long
traditions are the
time.
backbone of our nation.
Okay, what's happening? Is this man just gonna
hanging
keep
out.
staring at us? Menacingly holding this quill out to us.
Gross.
Yeah. Sir?
Delightful.
Sir, I just met you.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place
I don't
among
think
the
we're safe
bearers
here.
of the lance.
One of us.
Yeah,
One
it's
of
not a good
us.
place.
well.
You
did
have
it
to ask a
not?
million questions of all these
It is
people
always
here.
useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general.
Hi,
was,
Beaches.
though very
Hi,
long
sweet
ago.
chicken.
Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So
Tell
why
Peaches
did
I
you
love
really want to
her.
meet me?
Straight to the point
Cyril,
again,
wake
young
up,
Icon.
turn 90 degrees,
All right,
go on the
let's
computer,
talk, you and I. None, perhaps.
rotate back
According
around
to
to
my
go
spies,
sleep.
you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite
Or
alarming.
it's just for the peaches.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal
Cyril
fetish
Gremlin cat?
and is a good friend of yours.
Such
Does
a
it
good
bother
cat.
you that I
Such a
consider
good
him
little.
a good friend?
As long as
Sweet,
you reveal nothing
wrinkly
of the club's
baby.
inner workings, why should I admit you engaging in conversation?
I
with
say
the
this,
good
and
Dr.
there's
Swansea?
Farley sitting in the doorway of the office, just staring me
You were
down.
spying on me.
Not personally. I rarely leave this building.
A goblin in his own right.
But once he found you, Fergal
Different kind
kept
of
me
goblin.
informed.
They're all goblins. All animals
Put
is
an end
goblins.
to his mission.
Give us the loud kind of goblin.
My god, he will never stop. You were playing a game where you could get a sphinx, but you cannot pet it. Bad game, worst game.
Who was Fergal?
Yeah.
Gotta throw the game
I don't
out. It's
see
bad
him
game.
Sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a
Not
brute.
Squire.
He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod. All
We've been
muscle
told that
and
before.
Quite the rare breed. Ferocious
Like, I
and
think Lady
territorial.
Ashbury told us that he was a
Mortals
Volcod
often
or
mistake
whatever.
them for werewolves.
What are the actual werewolves?
Are
Yes.
Will you
are the
bear
big
ill
dogs
will
actual werewolves,
Of
or are
course
they
not.
some
Your
weird
victim
dog
is quite impressive
vampire?
and courageous.
Volcod who have
You
not
earned
shaved.
my respect.
Listen, shaving takes a lot of effort. I don't blame him.
Goes when you're a fucking werewolf.
Fur everywhere.
This is not the Spanish flu, it's something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed.
I can wiggle the camera again.
My main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
I somehow don't think that that's
Alarmed
the
by
truth.
the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against
No,
us
don't give
British
don't give
vampires.
werewolves silver
To appease
razors.
the situation,
That'd be a bad
we must
deal.
eradicate the skulls.
Whee! Okay, sorry. As discussed before, do we think that Scowls prior to the flu had the potential of, like, remaining cool, and that it's just the Spanish flu Scowls that are an issue?
Unless the sewer lady was like a regular skull and then like a vampire gave him blood and that like finished it like we did with Sean.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. We do know there are good, there are nice skulls in the who live in the sewers, and even the like ones of them who are kind of seem more skull like.
Yeah.
Nice. They're just a little not
little
entirely
wiggly.
together. Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm scared to tell him that some are peaceful because I don't want Jonathan to be like, oh yeah, this is where they exist.
Yeah.
Because that's not
Oh, that's-
good.
That's useful information. It'll be easier to murder them. Where are they exactly? I just say,
Normally-
oh, Scowls bloody hate 'em. I'd up to here with them Scowls.
Scowl.
We'll just agree for
malevolent,
now.
Disgusting creature.
Why
I
wouldn't
knew
regular
I was
razor
right
blades
to
be able to cut
induct
their
you, Dr.
hair?
Reed.
Their
You would
hair's
not
not
dare lie to me
indestructible,
about
Travis.
the topic now, would you?
So,
Would it regrow?
what do you want me to
What?
do?
I want
It
you to
regenerate.
investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find
Steal
and cleanse
hair.
And how
Ugh.
are we to proceed?
them. By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member
I've
of the
never
Ascot
heard of
Club
the
and you have
indestructible
part
steel
yeah.
hair law.
Same.
Follow
I
the
think
Where-
leads you
made this
find
up.
and get the
Where
results.
did you? Where? Cite your sources. Oh, hey, mesmerism level up. Wait, does that mean No, stop. No, stop. I just want to... it's level 4. We need level 5 for the priest, but level 4 for the bad poet.
Yeah, we can eat the poet now.
Perfect.
I know we're facing.
I mean, if you're
crisis.
bad at shaving, shaving can hurt.
The time to clean up the mess inside the club since we were attacked. I must admit.
And
that
also, it's, yeah, like...
I must have spent years.
I'm
Good
scared to
evening,
continue
Dr.
this
Reed.
conversation
How
for
does it
fear that
feel
we're
to
gonna
be
get a
this
new
evening's centerpiece?
thing for like
Figure
cottage
cottage
cheese
cheese
blood.
blood.
Yeah. Do you
Quite
feel
honestly,
any tear?
As a doctor, I'm more
Sorry.
used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed.
I mean, maybe I have seen a shaved werewolf. That's what we were trying to figure
May I
out.
ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a
I imagine a
beating
shaved
heart,
werewolf would
you
look a
draw
lot like
quite
a
bit of
shaved
attention
bear,
yourself.
Ah.
which are very
vampire senses
funny
never
slash
cease to
terrifying.
fascinate me.
Oh, jeez.
They dwarf those of mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Aloysius?
Aloysius.
I mean, I guess that's kind of how that's spelled. I thought it was Aloysius, but he says
you a
it's
member of the club?
Aloysius.
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. I'm slowly until the day
Yeah, Cyril, that's called getting too zooted out of your brain.
What can you
Does
tell
that
me?
It
mean
passes.
werewolves
It's not really my place
are
to give you
unsuitable?
such information. I am merely a mortal member.
To regenerate from weed faster than it suits them.
Personally, I consider my advance
Imagine,
in years
imagine
a
never being able to
sickness.
get high because you just process
My
it too
body is
fast.
slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Tragic.
Are you not a
Zooted is the best word. I do try to
You're
use it as
surrounded
often
by
as I can
vampires.
because it's very
Sir,
funny to me.
It's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Can hurt to bleach your hair, but since it's not silver, are werewolves immune? Absolutely. Hold on, sorry, I just noticed that
You cannot bleach a werewolf.
You can! They just won't give a shit about it. You can... They won't be able to tell you, hey, I think this has been on too long.
Is not the nature
And,
of
and,
this
and
club
you're more
so
likely to
by
fry
only
their
a
hair,
privilege?
which would be a great
My
way to
dear
get rid of
Dr.
it.
Reed, I have spent years and a
But-
fortune
so you're saying-
precisely to gather that kind of information.
So the reason...
So the hair doesn't regenerate. Like the hair can be destroyed by bleach.
It won't
possibly
come
shave.
back!
So
Yeah.
Why are we all...
of a member.
Okay,
I have been
the
a
way
member
that
of many
The
y'all
hair
are
isn't
framing this
bleach-proof.
make it sound like the hair is never coming back after it's
This
been
one is
shaved or
Well,
bleached.
no, the
which
way,
is
The way
incorrect.
Travis was saying it is that it's indestructible.
Yeah,
It
well,
cannot
Travis
be
is
shaved or
wrong!
bleached. It's always
I would
there.
not dare speak of our chairman without his
That was Travis's werewolf theory and his werewolf scientist.
Of Dawson,
We have to take it serious.
the wealthiest man in
Even though it's a crackpot theory,
It is a
probably the
pleasure
worst
to
I've ever
meet
heard.
such a prominent figure.
a withering London figurehead to be
Quick,
precise.
does anyone know a werewolf who wants to get
I am
shaved?
a doctor.
We gotta
My
do some
case is
science.
beyond the scope of
You
traditional
gotta shave a
medicine.
werewolf.
Gotta shave
I
a
have spent
werewolf.
fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
It must like you can
Should I
hurt
suppose
werewolves
that your
with just
hair
whatever.
incites
It
some
just
form of
it
immortality?
makes them really
Absolutely
angry and
not.
they heal really
I'm here to
fast, right?
implement my plan
Yeah,
to
and
save
Silver
the city
just
I was born in,
stops that.
to cast
Yeah.
out
Just
the
makes it so they
ghastly
can't
evil
heal,
that
so it's
has
more
us
likely
all
to do
on
a
our
murder on them.
Yeah.
This man is talking far too much,
What
but
do
I
you
need
know
to
about the
explore
God of
everything.
I should not say this.
The steel
but I
hair
admire
theory
their
is still a
Horrible.
fringe
It's
element
what
of the
nation
werewolf
needs
community.
right now.
The
Horrible.
werewolf science community.
But they are
Oh,
our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
just imagine how itchy that would be,
Would
and
you
how
rather-
heavy.
There is a time for such methods, but brute
Horrible.
force will not be enough to fight this plague. We
But you
have
can't
to
itch you
think
because you're immune. You got it's all steel. It's steel all the way down.
What is the situation
Just a
like?
steel
so
dog.
heavy.
I am sure
A
my Lord Redway
steel
will enlighten you
dog.
more effectively than I.
Horrible.
Money
Worst
cannot
dog.
solve every problem. This mysterious
Bad
epidemic
dog.
is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right.
Oh,
Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir.
This
a
man is
radical
the
one
worst.
that will save all that is
Yeah.
essential in London.
What is your plan?
These people are all
Quarantine
trash.
and barricades
Honestly.
are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable,
Oh
unscalable
no!
wall
Mhm.
to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
But that
No.
would segregate the rich from the poor, would it not? It would be unjust.
I think that's
That's
the
what
point,
he wants,
He
Jonathan.
just wants
Save
Paz
England.
to be able
And
to
to save
get
England,
the
we
gems
have
on him.
to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you
Because-
a vampire? Removed
Because
from all
he's a
logic and
doctor.
sense. Decisiveness. is
Also,
what the
not a
city
shit
needs,
human
and it
being who
needs
wants
it
to just
now.
kill the poor. Sir, if you just want the poorest to die, just say it. Who are these?
These are
Two.
it's the same man twice.
It very much is. They are having a moment.
It's possibly just one guy in a mirror.
So not a vampire.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Gotcha. Alright, I don't want to be here anymore. These guys are dumb. These are dumb guys.
Yeah.
What a stupid club.
I thought there were more people to talk to in here.
Same.
Oh, horrible, awful people. It's why have they just left all this downstairs?
I don't know.
Also, if the kind of everyone are getting
Welcome
in,
to the
like you
Aspen
should
Club.
move. They're gonna send more dudes,
Right?
and burn your house down.
Yeah. I don't know that they care. It's not that they don't care. They think that they're it's gonna be fine and that they'll be able to handle it.
Just, I can see why they don't care up until the point where people are just coming into their building to shoot them, and at that point, that's not okay anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
At worst, it makes you look weak. I mean, at best, it makes you look weak. At worst, they're eventually gonna do.
They're
Gonna
gonna
break
actually
Good
do
evening.
a murder
All
on
your
all
things
of
and murder
y'all.
all your friends.
Yeah.
All your horrible friends.
Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you?
Hello,
My
friend.
God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either.
Yeah,
War
it's
does
the red
that.
eyes that do that to ya.
A
My
war
case
injury.
was true.
It's very normal, is what the doctor says about it.
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore.
Oh, we can also probably
I'm
go talk to
involved
Venus
in
now,
another
can't we?
kind of battle now.
Yeah, we have level 4
I
mesmerism.
know what you mean. I haven't had
Can
much
make her let
time
us in and then
to
rob all her
prepare
dresses.
for my return.
Of course.
Steal all of
The
her
epidemic,
aluminium.
I bet you've been busy
Yeah.
as well. Forgive me, Johnny. I didn't want to sound selfish.
What is this new battle?
Well, I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget.
Like
They're here
rats?
too.
Oh.
Everywhere. Vampires.
Oh.
Clarence,
I don't believe
why
it.
have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
Oh, it was
To warn
Clarence who did the
everybody about
leaflets. I thought it were
They've killed
Ichabod.
thousands of
I
people
love
already,
Ichabod.
unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan.
He's saying there's
You
a
have to believe
vampire
me.
in London.
They're all around us, even as we speak.
Nonsense.
Clarence, I'm your friend, so I'm not going to judge you. But think about your wife, your family. You're in pain, and you need help. I can help you.
I
How
don't
much
need
blood
a
does this
doctor,
have, boy?
Jonathan.
Does this boy
I need
have
my
in
best
him?
friend
How
to
much
trust
blood
me.
does this man have in him?
How much blood have boy?
Boy have blood in boy? Tasty.
Got a headache.
Got a head hurt. Boy blood.
Vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
This is fine.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
So I see somebody in the distance over there, and I want to speak with them.
What do you mean
yeah.
you're not alone? Who have you met?
Just-
The
So when
Guardian
you
Freeway.
talked to the lady in
The Brotherhood of St. Paul's
yesterday,
Stone,
there
it
were
could
like a
not
guy
kill
with a
more
top hat in the background, and then he
Those
just
names
wandered
always
off
pop
like
up
right
when
before you
dig deep
finished.
enough.
Have you
Oh.
spoken with them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost
Possibly.
impossible to leave the West End. But
Mysterious
as a
top
doctor,
hat man.
maybe you could.
Do you think
join
I saw a
me.
man
Are
with the
you
top hat
asking
in
me
the
to
like
help you prove the
profiles
existence
of people in the
vampires,
area?
Yes, Johnny.
Yeah, me too.
Gather all the information
Who
you
was
can find about
Top Hat
vampires
Man?
and bring it to me. You're the only
Hat
friend
girl
I
from
have
Hat in
left.
Time. And stood on top of Mustache Girl.
Dang!
How is your wife?
In a
Venus?
trench
Spent
coat.
so much time away from each other, and so many things have happened.
Hetman a woo.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece, and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's
Do gotta
not
find
quite
Hat Man
that
though.
simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
That is extremely
Is everything
presumptuous
all
of
right at
you.
Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Oh, well, sucks
I'm
for you, I
investigating the
guess.
source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys,
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Swanky.
not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement.
You
Closed
suggesting they're all dead?
doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
Okay,
You
well.
need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Good luck catching them vampires then.
It's just the one vampire, actually.
Almost forgot what it feels like.
We meet again, Mr. Kimura.
Oh, hey, it's
In
this
a
guy.
more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed. Still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
After being
Breathing
held
the cold
captive by
night
the
air
man that
helps
just kept
calm
going.
my mind.
"Wah!"
I've had the most frightening nightmare since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
Sylvie?
I've heard rumors about armed men. but
Sylvie
Hello.
Star
How
is
was
reading
found?
with a party of
I
seven.
looked earlier.
Kaysh and the gang
Almost
welcome
certainly
you.
I was
found.
lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
Hold on. Gotta. Birdie did it.
I win.
Is the Stardews? How's it
May I
going,
ask you what
Sylvie?
you do for a living, Mr.
Hello,
I
Ojin.
I was.
Bajin was also
landlord.
farming.
wealthy one. And
Hello,
very
Train.
kind
Hi,
one.
pals.
I realized
Thanks for the
recently-
read,
Why
Sylvie.
this sudden epiphany? Is it because
Okay.
of your near-death experience?
I
Hello,
was
hello,
already
hello.
feeling
XCOM
nostalgic
exploded.
about
Oh
my
no.
hometown.
Oh jeez.
Recent events,
I'm sorry
thinking
that
about
it went
going back there.
boom. Drag Sylvie to the bottom of the mines.
Do you mean
Dang.
the XCOM game stopped working or the XCOM squad was blown up?
Yes?
Because
Yes.
it could be either.
Yeah.
Jake
Oh.
Solomon, when are you gonna fix your game?
Never. Elliot K, thank you for the follow and welcome in as well.
Oh, think I have a menu.
Oh no! XCOM said not today. That's unfortunate. I'm glad you had a backup plan though. But yeah, welcome in, friends. How's it going? I'm playing Vampire and I got Fruity. party here with me, and we're talking to people and making juice boxes real tasty. But y'all have been streaming for a little bit. If you need to take a break, feel free to do so. It's important that you take care of your dang selves. We started not too long ago, so we'll be here for a good long while if you want to come back and join. Otherwise, if we're just gonna hang out, welcome.
I remember who this guy is. I just remember now.
He was locked in the building with the man with the sword outside. He kept fucking owning my ass.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so
Like,
much
But-
on
oh,
making
you
money,
Escalon
I
Club?
almost
I
forgot
don't
that my
bloody
relatives and
care.
friends are threatened
Yeah,
by this epidemic.
yeah. And then he
Have you heard
destroyed
anything
me.
from your family?
I
And it was
not only a
horrible.
bad landlord, I was also a bad husband.
Sir, bad landlord is
I've not seen
just
my wife
that's
and son
redundant.
For years. Busy.
No worries at all. Definitely go to
least now
sleep.
you're ready
We
to go
appreciate
back
you
and
stopping
see
in and saying hello.
But don't be
Um,
surprised if your son
Take care of your
bears
dang
a grudge,
selves.
sir.
I hope you get some good
You sound like
rest.
You suffered from an absent father yourself,
Yeah.
Dr. Reed.
Like,
Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Sir, do you
Have
not
you
have
no
any
friends
friends?
at all?
Probably
Over
not.
the
He's a
years,
landlord.
I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary. While I
A
became
reformed
friends with my
landlord?
professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share.
you can be a
your views
reformed
on money
landlord
and
if you
success.
stop being a
Would you
landlord.
believe I was once a
Yeah.
member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days.
Dang.
My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice?
That's
That
just
was the
normal,
weirdest part.
normal
He claimed
things.
to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point.
So he's a witch.
He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Oh yeah, and there's that other lady who's just eating rats that I wanted to help.
Can you change?
Yeah.
And is it
She's-
what you
she's
really
not
want?
well.
If
No.
so, it
bad
must
vampire.
come from within,
Yeah.
not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
Hey, reformed landlord.
There is no
Hey.
need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End
Don't
every night, chasing
trust them.
criminals like my abductor. Maybe I
No.
should join them.
No. Don't. That's a bad. Don't
Bad
do
man.
that. Yeah.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I don't know. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject.
This man
Just
locked me in.
ignores.
When I was
Yes.
a child, my
Yeah.
mother would
I
always
sure
tell us
do love
about my
astronomy.
sister. We spent many a pleasant evening studying.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Pegasus. It was the constellation my mother liked the most.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations. Yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Was it a
Did he fake
ruse?
his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Okay. Said I had another hint unlocked, but I think it was
Goodbye,
for that
Mr.
one.
Kimura.
So,
Yeah.
Take care.
all right.
I almost forgot what it feels like to live an ordinary life.
All right, Tadao. Whatever you say, buddy. Do you have anything to say about
Good evening,
the
Miss
sickness?
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Hey.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Great. And nothing new there.
Goodbye,
Cool.
Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Should probably talk to Lady Ashbury some more. Just because we've probably unlocked some stuff with talking to her, but yeah, that's kind of my it's kind of my response to having to talk to her. I don't wanna.
Where's Hatman?
Hatman.
We know
Wait,
of
I got-
Hatman.
Got turned around again. Please. Who's banging over here?
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here?
Hey.
I need to find out what they're after.
I cannot see this!
Ow.
Ruined that priest.
Didn't
Wiggling
like
his
him.
stick around.
Didn't like him. He had to go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is outside of where I need to find people, so we'll just go back in here. It was important that I, like, fucked his day up, though, so, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't pointless. Just a little detour, if you will. Rat Lady should be over here.
Should be somewhere.
Rat Lady? There she
That's Rat Lady.
is.
Rats.
I'm the Rat Lady.
Rats. Those clever rodents are cautious now. They won't approach.
No more thirsty rats for you.
I'm investigating the source of the
Please,
epidemic
no more
in this
rats.
district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
Infection. Infection. The rats carry it, I heard. Rats.
We should
Rats,
probably
rats.
stop eating
Many
rats.
around the big house.
Right?
Funny smell too. Dead flesh.
And where is this house?
West of the park.
I think I want you to go to the
A
house.
big house with no sound, no light, no light.
They might want me to go to the house, but I'm not going just yet.
Goodbye, Miss Billow.
She's the Rat Lady. It's the Rat Lady.
It's Rat Lady. I'm sorry.
Rat Lady.
Sometimes Rat Lady is just Rat Lady.
More, okay.
That guy has quite a lot of blood in him. Sorry. Not
Yeah.
him, the other one.
Oh! Oh, he does. If he goes back to being a landlord,
Yeah.
we'll do a chomp immediately. Trying to figure out where Venus is. Hi, Akos. How goes it?
Oh, she was just a house. Oh,
Yeah.
Guy immediately.
Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
No.
Oh.
I'm sure you can
Not
spare
left.
me a few minutes for old time's sake.
Of
We're
course you
doing
may, Jonathan.
good. How are you?
At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
Stealing all the stuff. Looting all the things. Getting all the gubbins. Don't talk to me about my sister.
She's gonna be like, ah, where's my ergotamine? And we're gonna be laughing over there. I needed my I need my ferrous tatteret, but I can't find it.
Thank God.
Where did that
My
potassium
Clarence is back
permanganate
home
go?
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras.
Where are all the pennies I lay around everywhere?
Why do these people have so much fucking loose change around?
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has
You're
it been?
excited to go to uni this
3
year?
years now?
I've done
Can I
my
ask what
duty,
kind of classes you've
like
taken?
all British women.
Only have to tell me if you
have
wanna.
No idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the
Ooh,
bombings,
nice.
from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the
Exciting.
epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a
Don't look at
large
me.
scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything
Just have to
peculiar?
move the camera so she doesn't stare directly
You
into
mean
our
except for your return
souls.
to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Yeah, it's a real shame what happened to her, and I definitely
Thank
didn't have anything to do with that.
It was so sudden, and I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to
It's
anyone.
the craziest thing
I
about
wish I
it.
could have assisted at the funeral, but
How much of a shocking
It's been
surprise
so
it is
quick.
that we had no
and
idea
what
of.
with the epidemic in the streets.
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's
We're here
normal,
for
considering
close
the
takeaway.
circumstances.
Is
No,
the
it's
thing.
not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you
Oh,
his condolences.
Nice.
He is too
Here
busy
for
with
it.
his
Hi,
penny dreadful
Devo.
stories.
Why is
Evo
my
is
return
honking.
so surprising?
It's more
Aw.
an unexpected
Boy,
happy
lad.
end than a surprise.
Yeah.
You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
I understand that it's difficult not knowing if your husband's coming back from the war or not, but I don't think talking to the veterans about that and being like, oh, it was so difficult for me, waiting for you all to get back is quite the correct move in
Venus,
this instance.
Why do you worry so much about your
Just-
family's reputation?
Just saying.
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper.
Even
in
to
my
a
own
field medic, it's
community.
like, Venus, this is you're being a little tone deaf here.
Tell me about
Yes, you
Clarence's
waiting
obsession
here
with
at home in this
vampires.
cozy
Drives me
house.
so crazy. It
So
makes my
difficult,
stomach
so
hurt.
hard.
I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus, but you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
Yeah,
It's too
exactly.
simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
There is a middle option here.
So you don't believe?
Poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires. Would you have believed her? Seriously?
The important question:
He was a bit surprised.
what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
I don't know that I like Venus.
No,
Uh,
I like Venus.
no.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic.
Yeah,
in
hey, this
district.
lady, not
Have you
good.
noticed anything
She's kind of
unusual?
trash.
Philippines. I heard they locked
Clarence should come
themselves
live
in
with
their
us
own
at the
house.
They
hospital.
could just be afraid of getting
Yeah.
sick.
Perhaps you're right.
Introduce
But
him
if I
to
were
Doctor
you,
Boyfriend.
I
Yeah.
It can talk to him about vampires.
reachable
Yeah.
to the north of the railway.
You'd be the newest addition to the Brotherhood. He'd love that.
I'm so sorry.
Or we could introduce him to Ichabod.
Yeah.
Because
And they
generally,
could,
I think,
vampire hunting team.
yeah. Listen, they're both just big softies, just sweet boys. They need something to do, and forming a little vampire hunting team seems great. What is this? Spent the last day and night crying tears of joy. We can't keep on like this. Clarence is completely mad. Wow, she wishes he had never come back from the war. Wow! Venus, what the fuck?
I'm so over this my husband not being dead thing. Jeez.
Bad lady. Oh, wait. We're upstairs? Door.
No, stuck.
Door.
Ah, well.
Oh.
Oh.
What's in here?
No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. No sign of a
Is this
struggle.
where we're supposed to go?
Emily's love letter.
Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong.
Oh, is this...
Someone is responsible for this mess. But who?
Where am I? Where are we? I thought the house that we were supposed to go to was in here, in this general
by
area.
the park.
Yeah. So
Is
is
this
this?
Yeah.
Who?
It's about Rowlet.
Maybe? Is her name Emily? I don't know who
No
Emily
idea,
is.
but I don't know anyone else who. Oh, is
No.
Emily? What's her face is?
That's,
No, that's Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Who is Emily? Do we know
Who?
any Emily?
We know an Emmeline.
That's our mom.
I don't think Mom wants to be a vampire. Wait, no! Emily is the friend of Charlotte who is missing.
Oh,
That
right.
Charlotte asked us to look into. Okay, okay. We know what we're doing. We know what's happening. Great. Is that all? Is that all that's here? I'm gonna break my fucking knees!
It's fine. The vampire knees. The girl back.
Yeah, but I'm just waiting for him to pop out of his legs. Just falls and you hear pop, pop. As his kneecaps explode. Okay, well,
It's fine.
where...
You can grow new kneecaps.
I guess. Who are you? No, that's
Got
Clarence.
kneecaps for days over there.
No. Too many kneecaps.
Good evening.
So many
And
kneecaps.
good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Hey, your your friend?
No?
No, okay.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's
Never mind.
I guess Jonathan really doesn't want to talk to you. I understand.
But I searched the room. What did I miss? Okay, I need to go back into that courtyard and either make Venus let us back into the house or just teleport upwards. I feel like it's too high for me to do that though.
It was very high.
We'll see.
Can we get the lower one that we washed from first?
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Okay. Hey, Venus? I need back in.
Venus, I fell out the window. You gotta let me back in.
Just normal things. I took a little tumble.
Hello, Venus.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't
Always
have to make her brain funky again.
This hour of night?
Yeah, at this hour of night. Don't even worry about it. Ma'am. Okay, let's try this again and not leave before we're done.
Oh, it's someone on the bed. Blood.
Ooh, good
Blood.
catch. Good
I
catch.
should follow. the
Good
trail.
spot. Catch.
Good cop. Good blood.
Good blood. Aha!
She's gonna be so shocked that we fell out the window again. Sorry, Venus.
It's fine. It goes in a different direction entirely.
Keeps happening, Venus. I'm sorry.
Should really get a balcony up there. It's or
You
a
gotta get that
railing.
railing fixed.
Yeah. Look, it's It's a little wiggly over here. Not a blinker scout.
It's just him. It's not that bad. It's just when there's other stuff going on too.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I appreciate the invitation, but I'm
Just
here
gonna
to
have
solve
this
the
boy
mystery
honking in
concerning
the-
the death
in
of
the
a young woman
background.
killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
Sir?
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
Are you French?
Is that Spanish you talking?
You're French, but
Jonathan.
your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world.
What gave it
So
away?
many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
He's a
What are you
vampire?
doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate yet intense spectacle.
Okay.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I
I
have
like
been
this
a totally
doc, but also
depraved and
he has like
immoral
the same
creature
character model
since
as the
day
generic
I was
vampire.
reborn, sir.
Yeah.
Combat.
Probably before.
So I get the feeling we're not going to be friends.
Yeah!
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure.
I also like him
Take
though.
pictures. Enjoy the
He's
show.
just here for a
Have
good
fun.
time.
Believe
Yeah.
me, I won't
Why
be
not?
the only
It's-
foreign immortal who bought a
It's not
ticket
affect
to
him,
the
he's a
fair.
ball.
I followed the
Oh my
trail
god,
of
I
blood
need
from
the
the
scowl to
road
stop.
here.
He did for a
you're
minute
referring
there.
to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last wedding goat.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
Her body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
Jesus. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I believe
he's
Oh,
just a
sorry.
vampire doing vampire
That is
things.
Yeah.
Oh, Emily was her name.
Yeah, it's
Seems
fine.
like he
Well,
even
history
actually
shows, then.
bothered to
Yes,
try and
I
make her a
suppose so.
vampire.
You can go.
And so can you.
Well, it's like, it's not
May you
Not that it
enjoy the
matters,
spectacle
because
of
they're
this fallen city
vampires, but it's like
as much as I
she approached him about it, and assuming
Yeah,
he knew the
absolutely.
risks. So you know, he's just doing his thing. Is there anything cool over here? Are we good? Where are we? Oh, we're in the docks now.
Someone invites you to come out to like some weird, I don't even know, quarry, and like deserted quarry, and they'll let you become a vampire. Treat that with some skepticism.
Right?
This is what we learned today.
Excuse me.
Would be kind of hypocritical to murder that man for being a vampire when we are also a vampire.
He's just getting a little snack. It's fine. He's just doing his thing over there, huh?
Just a jolly lad.
Listen, he wants to party and have a good time. And who am I to say no to that? Have your fun, sweet vampire man. Alright. Alright, now we can go tell Charlotte that her friend is fucking dead because she was an idiot.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlotte, this is why you don't tell people about vampires. Where is she? Clarence, please. Clarence, it's fine, actually.
Good evening, Miss
Clarence, please
And
stop
good
yelling
evening
about
to you,
vampires.
Dr.
I have
Spruce.
very sensitive vampire hearing, and I can hear
I
you
have
from all the
found
way
out
over the
about
dang
your
city.
friend.
You can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not
I believe
survive
him
the
that
process.
My mother
he,
told
he
me
actually
many
like
times
tried
about the
to
risks of being
turn her into a
told.
vampire because I don't see why
Suspected she exaggerated.
Why he would
with
lie
his
about it?
attitude, I don't see why he'd lie.
No,
Yeah, no,
the risk
100%.
is real.
Yeah.
Have you any idea what a body has to endure? To become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process.
No, that man was
recombine
incredibly
blood.
forthcoming
Should
about
never have talked to
A,
Emily about
doing an
vampires.
eat, but also, yeah, like there's
She'd
no
never
reason
should
for him to
try
like
it without me.
hide that.
Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Why? This
It's
is a
fully
bad
upgraded
weapon.
Stick. 30 stamina damage is
Fine, but
yeah, it's like 2 hits from a club though, and a club also does health damage.
yeah.
If we were using a one-handed weapon for some reason, that'd be a
Goodbye,
pretty good
Charlotte.
stick.
Definitely.
Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
I would like some pasta salad, please.
Just mail it to me.
Yeah. Stand outside and throw it real hard. It'll probably get to me faster than mailing it. Oh! Hatman!
Top Hatman!
Hatman! I found the Hatman! Here is the Hatman!
Good evening.
He's got a beard.
Please forgive me for
My
disturbing
God.
you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all.
He has the same kind of mustache that my therapist has.
I welcome you.
Well, I must admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome,
I'm
Dr. Reed.
Doctor.
Welcome to my humble shop.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Fancy
Life
lad.
is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Sir,
Are
have you
not
looked outside?
concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
This man is
I'm afraid the
amazing.
newspaper
I do love him.
underestimating the situation.
Uh,
Things
Have
are
you noticed
critical.
like people walking around in
Well,
the
that's
streets
news
firing
then.
guns and yelling about
But I can't believe that
vampires?
things
And
are that bad. Are you sure you're not
people just kind of sitting and screaming for like hours.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city.
He's just
I'd
he's
be
having a
glad
great
to
time.
share the address if you
Yeah.
Finding a good restaurant. Is that really all that interests you?
Jonathan, food is
Oh,
great. I
have
know you can't
many
understand,
passions,
but
nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals.
Run an all
If
juice
you ever
diet.
find an interesting table, please share the address.
Oh, get to
Is
help
it
him find
not
a new
little
place to
too
hang
late
out.
To be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
Like what?
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids?
Also, it looks like this man's got a big brain,
the
and I need to
random
double check that.
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
To be fair, if he's asleep and a bomb falls on him, it's not gonna
Yeah.
it's not gonna be much different.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Yeah, okay, guy.
Do you have any family?
This man is a dog.
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
Okay, well, let's
I'm
get.
investigating
We
the
know he's gonna
source
tell
of
us
the
about the
epidemic
house,
in
but
this district.
Do
might
you
as
sell
well.
handle
noticed
pads
anything
by any chance?
Right? Of the good
Now
variety?
that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.
We do have some good handle parts.
Just 2.
Yeah, but we need like 6 in total.
Yeah, it's not too bad then.
Salicy.
Weird.
Probably need that for some of the bigger. We'll sell that. I'll keep Charlotte's steak just cause.
Yeah, if we ever find like a really good one-handed weapon, it could come in handy. I just,
Yeah.
I don't really see it happening, but like,
Yeah.
you know.
Those can be recycled. Okay. Great. Clarence. Who haven't we? It's not what I meant to do, but hey, there are a lot of people that we have not met.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they're all hiding out.
Wonder if we just have to do more in the district to like have them come out, or maybe I'm just not checking their houses.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
No, this is our house. Okay. Travis, that has eggs. How could you ask that?
Mayonnaise is egg gunk.
It's the goopus of the egg. Can't just ask Cyril if they're eating egg. Oysters, cigars, pies, and cake, coffee, tea. Okay, yeah. So... Oh.
Okay, two different ones.
Yeah.
One by
Don't
the
worry
back,
about
and then the other one, I think, what's the one he was talking about? I don't know. It's fine. We can get them.
We got 2 places that we gotta check out. You have a lot of people that we need to heal as well. They're at the docks, which is like real close. So maybe we go here.
Okay.
Aww. No salads for BB.
Poor baby.
Dang allergies. Not
Oh,
good,
he's
not
maybe
fun.
allergic to egg.
Yeah.
Got
Not-
egg down, baby.
The only acceptable time to egg down.
No more egging up ever.
I will say, vegan mayonnaise, pretty good. It's Veganaise is a brand that I really like. Not that I have issues with mayonnaise, but I like
Sometimes vegan
Veganaise.
stuff just good.
Yeah. Very particular about it because a lot of times, like, it's a sensory issue for me. But what's all this then? I was helping. It's trench.
Treg.
Yeah. Treg. Egg. Sorry, I can't not say egg in a funny way anymore. I have to.
I was worried that the entire mention of mayonnaise was just to make everyone say egg.
Egg.
A lot of times.
Someone got stunned in that mess, and I wasn't sure who it was.
Who was that guy? He's dead now. Egg.
Egg. Well, please don't do a chomp on me.
When it says resisted, it literally only resists the stun damage. It doesn't resist the actual damage. It's so weird.
Egg.
It's probably really annoying if you're using a one-handed weapon as well, because if you actually try and stun him and then the teleport, you just did nothing.
Yeah.
But hey, you should consider just hit him with a big stick.
Nope, lock onto the man there. Ah! Jonathan! Horrible. Making me use my claw and being just out of reach.
Horrible.
Awful. Egg.
Egg.
Yeah.
Egg.
Wait, maybe it's... It's just gonna be 20 minutes of us just going egg. It doesn't look like there is an easy way to get where I needed to go, and I thought there was, but it might have been from a different part of town.
Heck.
Oopsies. What's in here?
I thought we'd have to unlock a door. I'm not sure this looks like we're heading there. Possibly?
Well, I remember unlocking a door that, like, dumped us right where the docks were. And we're, like, technically in the docks. We're closer to where we need to be. I want to make this dog explode.
Hot dog.
For no real reason other than it's funny.
Shiv him.
Whoa! Hey!
He didn't think it was funny.
Excuse!
Dog is not laughing.
Fucking hell. Jonathan! Oh!
And free.
I was scared. No, Scowls, you have to leave me alone. Legally, you have to leave me alone. I just want to go through!
I thought we'd unlock that door.
I don't think I can activate it because we've got Scowls. Is the big issue here.
It's possible.
These guys are chumps, though. Sir, you can't teleport like that. Where were you aiming, Jonathan? Where were you going?
He got hit really hard by the werewolf.
little disoriented.
Really knocked him on the noggin.
Rodney's fine. Hi, Rodney. You're alive.
Good evening, sir.
Rodney.
I'm glad to see you safe.
I am not safe. I should never have come.
No,
back
you
here.
shouldn't.
My
It was
life
a
is in
really bad
danger.
idea.
I know it.
You're much
Right.
safer here than in that contaminated area.
Bullets kill people quicker than diseases and epidemics, Dr. Reed.
Okay, but you should go hang out with Sean. Sean's
What can you tell me
fine
about
now,
this disease?
probably.
The East End Docs only knows one
Fine,
rule.
Jason.
Dog eat dog, and blood calls for blood. The gang will have their revenge on me one way or another.
What can
No.
you tell me about the locals?
Most people would say that Sean Hampton and Tom Watts are good men who try to sort things out.
Go,
Tom
Tom.
Watts.
Boss around
Tom,
here
what a
was
good
my best
guy.
friend. Jack Gillingham.
Just never leave Tom's.
Everyone round there knew Jack.
Oh,
He was a
Jack's
rock.
dead though.
A mountain even. He feared nothing.
Yeah, and he's dead now.
Your friend Jack has something to do with you fleeing to the contaminated area where I found you. I want to know more.
Jack is dead. That's all you need to know. Dead because of me. So much violence. So much sorrow. All of that because I refuse to be insulted again.
No man can predict the exact outcome of his actions. It's the curse we have to live with. We can only gamble and do what we think is best.
Perhaps you're right. The district was doomed before I was born. But I cannot stop myself thinking that Jack died for me.
Why do you say that?
After I killed that gang member, the Wet Boot Boy suspected Jack. And being loyal and all, he did not refute the accusation.
Aw, that's not your fault though.
The death of your friend has affected you deeply, hasn't it?
Jack
Yeah, no
Gillingham was
shit,
the real
Jonathan.
deal. He believed we could change the world if we were united and focused enough. And he brought out the best in each of us.
You're right. He died to save you. That alone gives me an idea of the kind of man he was.
He was the bravest. And no one dares to say openly that he got killed by those bastards.
Why would we say this? Why, after saying this, why would we say this?
You are not going to spend
Jonathan!
the rest of your life hiding, Rodney. What are you planning to do?
Honestly, I have no idea. How am I supposed to live while so many have suffered because of me?
Only you can answer that question. But one thing is certain. Since you owe Jack your life, I think it's fair to live it in a way that would make him proud.
That's the kind of thing Jack could have said,
Don't
Dr.
go
Reed.
back to the zombie sewers.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I believe you're a good guy too.
Do you
Hey.
have recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter?
I heard he kept on helping people, but I tried to stay away from
You
his
are
shelter.
literally
I don't feel safe
directly
there.
next to his shelter.
Right?
Goodbye, Mr. Grader.
You just got a habit for just ending up next to vampires by accident, huh?
Good evening, young man.
There's no need to call me that, Dr. Reed.
He's actually got a very good vampire sense about him. He just doesn't know it.
Show me what you have to offer,
Yeah.
Mr. Nightingale.
Do you have any good handles? No.
Ugh, common handles. We've already
Ugh.
got those.
Don't need any more of those. Okay. Need to be in the different part of the docks. At least he is over by Sean's place as opposed to like directly next to the Wet Boot Boys.
Probably safer there.
Yeah. Which I need to.
They said the Wet Boot Boys don't mess with Sean, right? And I feel like they definitely don't know that Sean has superpowers.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
This is no place.
Just do that. Excuse me.
Ooh, that hurt as well.
I missed.
No rest for the wicked.
I'll put an end to you. Away with you.
No.
I didn't know that went that far. I took all your blood out. Now you gotta get more blood.
Fuck.
The shotgun blast just hits a very vague area.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good.
Heck.
He was
For a
just
stick
out of
to a
reach.
gunfight.
He was just out of reach, and I'm very annoyed by how much he was just out of reach. It's fine.
Just a step too far.
Ugh. Dumb. Horrible. It's fine. Jonathan, where are we? We need need to go this way. Yeah, we'll just... Ah! I am out of stamina. Okay. Just wanted my stamina to come back before I like had to do 1,010,000 dodges.
Yeah.
Look, it's just that easy.
Easier when he don't fire his fucking gun all the time. But also when your blood don't all get blasted out of you by the power of Jesus.
Yeah, I kind of like it when my blood stays in me.
Yeah, we need that. I heard that.
Yeah. Going hog wild over there. Yeah, I don't like it when Jesus says, no more blood for you.
Classic Jesus move.
'Cause I need that.
The
I
first
need that
vampire, Jesus.
blood. Horrible. The worst vampire. Ooh,
It's locked.
okay. Hey, y'all are sick, and you are the ones that I need to talk
Evening,
to.
Rufus.
Good evening, Mr. Reed.
Oh, he's
Do you need help?
smiling.
A real doctor caring about me. That's a first.
It's not, it's
I
like the
feel
third
like a real
time.
person.
You're
Right?
always sick. I'm sorry, Rufus.
So
A real
sick.
doctor treats
All
everyone
of
the
the
same,
time.
Rufus.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, then we'll just skip
So
all
long,
that because we
Rufus.
know. Ma'am, let me in. Where are you knocking,
Good
Jonathan?
evening, Mrs. Fishburne. May I
Where are
come
you
in?
looking?
I can't remember the last time I had...
Good evening,
Ma'am.
Doctor,
Mrs. Fishburne.
I am...
Yeah, just skipping through all this
Then-
because we've done this before.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Miss.
Okay.
This
And now-
point, I think it's very fair to skip all that dialogue.
Right. Okay, and then she needs cure, but we don't have headache stuff.
No, headache still eludes us.
Yeah. Got 2 folks with a cold in Pembroke. That's a bigger headache. Cadigan has a cold. He's the landlord, though.
Yeah, but we gotta fix him so we can eat him later.
So
Because
he's-
we don't want to
so
eat
he's
his horrible blood.
tastier. Yeah.
His idiot blood.
His dumb, stupid, idiot blood. Okay, maybe we do head up here, because Edgar has new dialogue! And we gotta go.
Boyfriend.
We gotta go say hi to Dr. Boyfriend. I'm just gonna put a marker there so I can keep track of where I'm going. His directions are hard. Ma'am, I'm still considering doing an eat on
Can
you.
we eat her now?
Probably.
It's actually a level 4
Good
brain.
evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Level 5.
Level 5
Goodbye,
brain.
Miss Cox.
Horrible. Terrible brain. That's fine, because I think we can go eat the poet, which if we
Yeah?
make a big circle to Pembroke and then Whitechapel, we can grab a poet on the way.
Yeah.
A nice snack.
Sorry, sir. Watch yourselves. There's one of them.
Let me just top up on some blood. No, no, no! No!
Watched so many times.
I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around anymore.
Oh. Hey!
Got some of them. Stop. You can't swing while I'm stunning you.
That stupid move where they keep swinging the torch at you and walk backwards is just straight out of Bloodborne, and it's annoying as fuck in that as well.
It's so horrible and I hate it, and they need to stop. It's illegal for them to do that anymore. Oh.
The Bloodborne technique. Wiggle a torch in front of yourself and just slowly walk backwards. You're indestructible.
Yeah.
And you're like also the first enemy in the game. And people keep dashing into you while you're doing it.
I don't like it. It's bad in Bloodborne, it's bad in this. Don't do it. Don't wiggle your torch at me. I'm a nice guy.
Hey, Saber.
Hi, Saber. How's it going? Okay, Pippa needs thing. Who else need thing? Newton need thing. Newton's out this way though.
Yeah.
He's the most out of the way, so we'll go fix our boy. Gotta save the gay babies.
Gotta save the gabies.
My boys. No, you have to let me
I
in.
cannot enter.
You have to let me in.
We're still alive and healthy.
Healthy's a strong word.
Stop arguing. Come out here.
Things are different here. So many ways.
Out. Come here. Yeah. Newton, let me fix your brain. And by your brain, I mean your lungs.
Hello again.
Oswald has the bad brain.
Dr. Reed.
And I can't fix that yet.
Doing your rounds
Oh,
as usual.
he's doing.
How to fix that.
He's doing the thing again.
Do you
Where
need
he...
medical attention?
Oh yeah.
Afraid so.
He's wibbling.
In the war, I was always worried about picking up something, getting some infection.
Did you like the movie? I've heard good things
That was
about
Spider-Man.
I'm fearing.
So.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man. You were wise to be careful.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
Sure is wiggling back there.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight.
So wiggly.
care.
This is what happens when your brain hurts for too long. You just kind of wibble.
Fair. It's not gonna make it hurt less though. We spin in
No.
circles.
Probably make it worse, honestly.
Yeah.
Drink some water and lay down, buddy. Take a nap. You'll feel better, I promise.
Spider Dilf.
Wonderful. Pippa, there she is.
Good
Hey.
evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Do you need medical?
I'm afraid.
Not under my watch, nurse.
Thank you.
Great. Nothing new here.
Goodbye, Nurse.
Yeah, spilf, if you will.
Not
Spider
a spilf.
Spilf.
This spilf has done some bad things.
God damn it. It all comes back to the bad twink, doesn't it?
Hello,
That
Jonathan.
twink.
How are things on the West End front?
Complicated, my friend. The rich and powerful feel threatened by the disease and have asked me to put an end to it.
Yes. It is odd how resolving a crisis suddenly increases in urgency when it affects those who matter.
Yeah.
It looks like the epidemic is spreading to the western districts of London. I am trying to locate the source of the infection.
It won't be an easy task, my friend. This disease is highly contagious.
Do you not think epidemiology could be helpful in this matter? To retrace the origin of infection through time and topology.
If anyone can perform such a miracle, it will be you, Dr. Reed.
Oh, yeah, we're a little busy for that.
That's yeah.
To the vampire curse. We must find the original.
Would love to do that, bud, but
I admire your logic, Jonathan, but be careful. Rationality,
London
when it comes to
is
your
like one of the
kind,
densest
was
urban
always a
centers
reliable
in the
base.
world. Yes.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Good luck,
famous
Jonathan.
tycoon, is well-versed in vampire and occult knowledge?
No,
Wait, we're using like 1910s
That
tech.
is no surprise. For half a century, it has been quite the trend for English
Just
nobility
bust out
to
the
join
maps
secret
and a couple of
societies,
pencils.
occult circles.
You figure it out.
Just
But
discovered
Aloysius
that
Dawson is
germs
only
cause
a rich
illness.
merchant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next thing we're gonna do is
Wealth is more
backtrace
respected
the
than title
infection
these
to
days,
patient
even in
zero.
England.
Did he contact the Brotherhood of St. Paul? Try to join your group?
It would not surprise me, but I am certain he's never been a member.
Maybe Sam will get
Does the
Spider-Man
Brotherhood of St.
PS5,
Paul know
then I
anything
can
about
play
the
it.
Ascalon Club?
Well, I'm afraid that's
Yeah.
unlikely. Ascalon is a sensitive topic, and whatever
That'd be
material the
wonderful.
Brotherhood has, I may not have access to.
I'm
Who
playing
could
Resident
answer
Evil
that?
4
Usher
because Sam's real
Talltree,
mad
our
at it,
current
and I don't
primate, may be the only one able to
I want
answer
to play it with Sam
He's a
either
discreet
there or like
man.
threatening to come in and just sitting next to
Thank
me
you
and
for
talking
your
about how
time.
shit the game is while I play.
No, that's fair. Yeah. He's wrong. He's wrong about
Yeah.
it being a bad game.
But he
that's-
will do that. is
He
the
will
thing.
do it, yeah. Just because he's wrong does not mean he will stop. Resident Evil 4 Remake, kind of good.
He keeps threatening to play Disco Elysium, but I don't think he's actually gonna. I'm worried he will one day play it and just start talking about just call
How
me
bad-
up and start talking about how bad Disco Elysium is.
It's that would be the ultimate wrong opinion. Disco Elysium is the best game.
There's no like parts where you can waste all your bullets shooting the sky and the ground and figments of your imagination and then get stuck in Disco Elysium.
No, but you can die
So,
a
like-
lot. By
There's a few
trying
ways
to, take your tie off of the ceiling fan or turning on the lights.
You
Sitting
don't die
down
if you can't get your
incorrectly.
tie off the ceiling fan. You do die if you turn on the light.
I thought you could strain yourself trying to get the tie off and like.
I think that one's okay.
Okay.
You can die opening the dumpster and trying to punch Kuno and running into the lady's wheelchair.
Yeah.
There's a few ways to die.
Oh, Harry. You disaster man.
I think
Okay,
it's just like, the game's too hard. I turned on the light and it killed me.
When that doesn't feel like an out of place complaint from Sam. Fuck! Sorry, I ran out of stamina and I got scared. Okay.
This Kim guy's following me around and I hate him. He's terrible.
It's perfect. Take
love
that back.
On my current run, Kim high-fived me and it was amazing. And then my guy initiated a low five and was very worried Kim would not reciprocate the low five, but he
Of course
did.
Kim would. Of course
Yeah.
Kim would. Oh. So.
And now I have a thought that means I have +2 empathy specifically for checks that involve Kim. I have +2 empathy towards Kim.
It's because Kim is perfect?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It does make me... I am... As I have vaguely mentioned a couple of times previously, I am looking at getting that charity stream going. And doing the Worst Man in Revachol run. I am scared to do that because I don't want Kim to be disappointed in me, and he's going to be. But
I was
you know,
thinking of trying to do like a let's play and just playing through like 3 or 4 times at once. And just trying to show everything.
there's so much though. Is
Yeah,
the
I'd
thing.
never finish it, but I might.
Yeah.
I could start it and see if I enjoy starting it.
Sir.
Also, this run I failed the karaoke.
Oh no.
The check to do karaoke, I think it's better. It's very funny.
I don't know that I've seen the bad karaoke because we got a critical success on my run and I was so excited.
If you succeed, Ancient Reptilian Bread sings, and if you fail, Limbus System sings.
Oh no! Oh!
He really goes for it, and by the end he can like barely sing because he's crying too much. Just pouring his soul out, and no one understands.
Oh, it's so good!
It's amazing.
Oh.
There are people who like get mad that like, oh, it's just there's so much RNG in this game. And it's like you are fundamentally misunderstanding this game. Like failing, you if you fail a thing, that's the story now. That the game continues without pause.
Yeah, like it's not. I fully disagree with.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret
of people
society?
being like being upset about
But
the
I thank
RNG
you for this
aspect. That's
information,
just
sir.
it's fine.
It enriches the
There's like as much, if not more, like content on most
Is
of
there
the
not more
things.
you wish
Most
to
of the
That girl
ones you
has
can't
no
retry
chance
if
of
you fail them.
malice in her.
Right?
Whatever she may be hiding,
And
certain to be.
sometimes it even like gives you advantages later if you failed things earlier.
Yeah. Well, it's like some of the things like if you fail, you end up getting more information, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I don't. People are silly.
Yeah, there's always like at least as much stuff if you fail.
Yeah.
It just means your guy looks really silly, and that's pretty much his life anyway. Poet.
Death has no splendor at all.
I'm not sad to see it. He's just a poor poet.
Now he lives in that bush.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I don't think the district will suffer from this.
No.
Only benefits. Alright, Cadigan. We need to find him. Where is he? Sir? There's Clayton Darby. Do we have any new...
Good evening, Doctor.
I don't
Can
feel like
help
we've
you?
talked to him in a while. Oh, since I
No,
have no
we
information on him.
Bye, Mr.
Yeah, we
Farewell.
haven't got anything to say to him.
Yeah. Which is like fine, but also you.
Good
Haven't
evening,
talked to you in a while.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
No, ma'am, we're good. Hey!
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Why
Sometimes
this
failing the
skepticism?
checks make
How
the
can you
pixels
speak
feel
about
bad.
starvation if you've never been hungry?
But
or
like,
about poverty, or anything else you have
at the
never
start,
suffered from.
when there's the option to like try and run away from Gat, and if you fail it, you run into the lady in the wheelchair. If you fail that, he decides the drinks were on the house that you had, so you just have to pay for the room and the window. And then if you got like really high physical instrument or something, you can just be a big angry boy and say, "I'm not paying for the window," and he's like, "Fine, just the room then." But if you succeed, you just run away and then have to come back later.
I don't know. I like the RNG aspect because it's just there, and while it
Yeah, you
is
just integrate into the story, like what you did and failed to do.
I've seen your type.
Is now part of
To
the
get a
thing,
good
and
fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley
Damn
before
it,
going
man.
back to their
too used to getting everything their own way.
Right? Don't tell them about tabletop games. They'll hate it, actually.
Well, it is very much. It's literally based on D&D games that the team who made it used to play. Like the world that you're in Disco Elysium is their D&D campaign setting.
Love that. Love it
Yeah.
so much.
Goodbye, miss.
Very good.
Yeah. So there might be a little bit of influence there.
Just a tiny bit. Still
Goodbye.
here. Okay.
I think the fact that they didn't like include like dodgy RPG combat or anything is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, what
Because
they
there's so many games that are like kind of like Disco Elysium, but also have some like jank-ass combat system that makes the game like impossible to sit through for me.
Yeah, no, it is purely a narrative thing, and I appreciate that.
There is one scene that has combat in it, and it is handled exactly the same as the speech checks and dialogue are just interacting with the world. Sorry, I'm just talking about Disco Elysium these days. It's the only game that's semi-recent that I don't hate.
It's a good dang game. Deserves to be talked about.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Maybe
You remember
slightly
me?
less
You're
than
here
I
for a
talk
reward,
about.
You'll be sorely disappointed.
No.
But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What
There's
an
a little bit of
opportunity.
disco
My
dancing.
name's Bates.
There's a check for that.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me.
You can make
but
him
your
dance.
skills could help a lot
And
of
you can
people
dance
around
so
here.
hard
would help
that you
my
black
business,
out
could
when
I
the city
say?
talks to you.
Alive tenants, a paying tenant.
Let's do a talk.
It's unusual
Yeah,
to see
Crawley
someone
Squad
so happy around here.
It's a very me
Especially
game,
considering
and
the
it's
current
it's
situation.
very good.
Why
And
shall we
Anodyne was
sad
amazing.
now?
Anodyne 2 is beautiful. Anodyne 1 is very good, but Anodyne 2 is just an actually beautiful
I
story.
don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
I need to play their next game. Symphony, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
It looked good.
What is your business exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well,
Would-
deals
would
can be
very
done
much
if you know what I
recommend
mean.
Anodyne too.
Money's not the only
Mhm.
currency.
Crawley Squad's hard to
Poor, I'm
recommend
not
because it's a
immune
game
to
for
a pretty
insane people
face.
only, but you know,
In other words,
if you think you'd
take
like it, you
advantage of
probably
these
would.
poor lost souls.
Begging your pardon.
Unless
I thought you was a man
the
who could
controls are a
appreciate
lot
the
for you.
complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black
You
and
do have to
white,
like
you know.
hold right click and scroll the mouse to reload.
Yeah.
What help could I possibly
And if you don't do
be
it
to
fair
you?
enough, you don't
That's
reload.
simple. I already get good money from
Yeah.
all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
There is
I
less to discuss,
understand,
I
Dr. Reed,
suppose.
you're from a good family.
Anodyne
Don't wanna
2,
get your hands dirty.
Just none of y'all
That's
have
fine.
played it.
I'll be
We
happy
could
to act as your
definitely
middleman.
talk Anodyne 2's story.
I'm no saint, but to take advantage
Crawley
as you
Squad,
do,
you'd be talking about
you are a
the weird
despicable man
mysteries
who
that
could
you were
only
slowly
prosper
piecing
in these
together.
dark times.
And you'd
Yeah.
sound like a
To know
crazy
then.
person, and that
That's
would be
too
cool.
bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, save lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swambra shit.
Tell me, what's
He's
your
a bad
honest opinion
man.
of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
I want the option to say at Cadogan, like, well, this is the seat of our nation's royal family. How dare you? Yes, I think he'd get real mad.
You seem to have recovered well since your
Do you
attack.
not love your country? I
You
don't
ever think
understand.
about what happened?
Sir.
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few
Evicting people
But that's
during a
business, isn't it?
pandemic. It's Cadogan.
Take this as my final
He's a
warning.
bad man.
You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here.
I'm
You
going
ain't
to
Whitechapel,
eat
Doctor.
you.
You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Sir.
Gonna wait one day for you.
How are conditions?
For you to stop being unwell, and then we're gonna eat you.
Spreading, I don't think there'll be enough new bloods to replace those tenants I'm losing from this bloody thing.
Walled up a bit.
Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
Well, seen better days, that's for sure. But it was bound to happen with all these refugees about.
I get the feeling eating Cadogan is not gonna have a major impact on the district's health.
Absolutely not.
Take this in any case.
What? You give me this for free? Don't have a clue about this place, do you?
Sir, I am investing in the future.
Have you heard anything about Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Not
And
really.
by future, I mean my future
A man
juice
such as
box.
yourself, knee deep
We
in the
can,
muck of
but
Whitechapel
he's
must
poorly,
know
so what
more.
taste?
Speak now.
Yeah,
he's not
he-
worth eating
thanks
right
to Nurse
now,
Crane.
but we are gonna.
He's got like, he doesn't have a lot of blood in general, and he's got like half as much as he could just because he's
So
ill.
business is booming.
Yeah, so we had the poet for
Hope
today,
Nurse Crane's
and
Yeah.
dispensary does nothing but
Cadogan's
flourish.
tomorrow.
More money in my pocket in the end.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
I have not seen Opera GX's logo. I don't use them. Aren't they like trash?
Goodbye, Mr. Bates.
Isn't Opera like a really bad browsing system? Not just like, not just for use, but like their practices. Why is your brain bad? Sorry.
Don't
Man is-
impress me when companies bother to acknowledge gays for exactly 1 month.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's head to response.
Okay. The gamers are gonna be so mad.
Yeah, if it's a platform for gamers, they're gonna be heckin' angry, and I'm here for that. I love pissing off the gamers. We...
Let's turn around if I were you.
No, no turnaround. None turn around. Okay, we have. Oh god, we're here again. Hello. Stop. I hate your shotgun. I hate it.
At least never shoot your shotgun.
Never do it ever. Yeah, okay. I was about to swing again, but I really wanted to do that chomp.
I think you were immune to other damage while you were eating him, which is kind of good because you wanted to
Would've-
actually finish eating him.
Yeah. I have noticed if you like start a different action in the middle of doing another action, the first one just kind of stops being, sir. Lol.
That poor little guy.
Oh!
Oh. Yeah!
Come here, you nerd. Stop! Stop stealing my blood! That's mine! Bad man.
It's a really curvy sword he's got.
So curvy. Where am I going? Can I go through here now? Did I unlock this? No, I
It's
absolutely
locked,
did
all
not.
Oh,
Fuck.
heck.
No, that's not even the button that I hit, game. Here's the thing.
You got everything mapped to circle again.
No, I have to hit, I can either hit the share button on my controller to access the regular menu, whereas options is the pause menu, but I can use the touchpad in place of that, and I usually do because it's closer to my analog sticks.
Makes sense.
But even if I hit the furthest left I can get on the touchpad, it'll sometimes still register as just hitting the pause button, and it's like, that's incorrect. That's not what I hit at all. Why can't I get through here?
It's locked.
Game, where do I go? Game, how do I get
Been in there once.
right?
How do we go back in?
You have to let me into the West End. You have to. You're legally obligated.
Is this in? We're
I
in?
think so. I think
Okay.
so.
That's how you get in. We know now. The open door. Oh, we go on all the other stupid doors at some point if
Yeah.
we can.
I mean, I think we're heading in that general direction, so I'll try to hit those now.
Yeah. I kind of feel like once you're in, it should just unlock them.
We should
but
just
yeah.
unlock them, yeah.
It's fine. We already got in. Don't worry about it.
That building is under quarantine.
Oh.
Could this be what I'm looking for?
Well, it's
That's-
bloody locked, isn't it, Jonathan?
Excuse me, open up that trash can.
Women die too in this war.
Hey, Charlotte. Whatever you say. Jonathan, please move. I'm touching the analog stick so that you can move. I think I kept looking at this door and then not actually touching it. Checking to make sure there wasn't anyone here. It's unlocked now, though. So it's fine. Aluminium.
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 Aluminum.
That's too many U's.
Aluminum.
Support the equality between men.
Okay, how do we get in there?
How do we house?
It's locked, all right.
We know it's locked. Let me see.
How do we unlock it? Is that
This-
weird alley the other way?
Yeah,
Is that where we came in from, actually?
I'm unsure. I don't think so.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Or is the horrible lady? She went near a gate we could open, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, she got destroyed.
No!
Things that aren't resistant to just physical hits really have a bad time with us having this big a stick, huh?
Right? They kind of just get deleted, which I love for me.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good stick.
And now that's unlocked. Hooray! Okay, but... Ah!
Oh,
Aha!
Jonathan? Are you okay, bud?
No. No, he's not. He is the furthest possible distance he can be from being okay.
He has like 95% health.
Yeah,
And a
well...
full bar of blood.
Just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else in here. Oh, those poor plants.
Oh.
Slowly rendering in.
It looked like little green heads when you first came in.
Right?
They look like eyes and mouths. Just a bunch of little green men hiding in a plant pot.
You'll never notice them. You'll never spot them. No, ma'am, you have no health.
He has 1 hit point left. Only one that matters, baby.
Honestly.
Oh, there she goes.
Whoa! I thought I was far enough away.
Yeah, it's got a bit of radius on it. Didn't do a lot of damage though, so that's nice.
No! My camera got confused!
Stop teleporting. You won't stop teleporting.
Yeah. That passed right through him, and I'm very annoyed by that. Ugh. These guys are the most annoying.
Yeah, they're only dangerous when you find something else and they teleport right behind you or right into the path you're dodging.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, when they're quite high level, they are potentially going to sneak some hits in and they can do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
It's just that you'll get a chance to heal because they don't do a whole bunch.
Oh my god!
Young lady hurts you when she blocks. Horrible.
I just wanted to do a chomp!
Does not explode when died from eating. Good to know. Also, good sentence.
Don't hit A, those are rats. We're not eating the rats.
Just hide in here to get away from the bad lady.
Yeah, I don't blame them. She's a bad lady. Oh. Someone is. Angry.
Someone's
We'll go.
talking.
Why did I think that was a hand for a second? We don't want to eat the rats because the rats are cool. We like rats here. Plus, they don't give me a whole bunch, and it's just kind of a waste.
I think that did they give you XP at all or just blood?
Just blood.
Yeah.
None P.
You know, we can get that from people.
Yeah.
Who we hate more, and also who have more blood in them.
Oh. Ma'am, I want you to explode. I shouldn't have exploded her. She's strong against blood, but it's fine.
Both very strong against guns. Chucks on them. We don't use them. We shot one once in like the whole game. She's teleport and gunk.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And he's just a guy, so I like the going for Roger first strategy here.
Okay. It made sense. Just get the guy out of the way. Man, what are you doing?
Ooh. Fat when she teleports.
She squoze out a fart.
Well, we can cure the people and then we can eat them afterwards. And then they're good.
It's true. I thought I was
gonna
gonna get
cure
got.
rat. We're not bad.
Could it be a
She
new
fucking
stage in
blew
the disease's
up.
evolution?
Sorry, that was
She blew
very
up.
funny.
I didn't see that before.
She just turned into Gunkus. Oh, that was very good. Please. Good handle part!
Nice.
We found one in the wild! That never happens!
You don't find many.
Stop. Okay. And now we go to the other house. The Mulaney house? Another good handle part.
Nice. A tiny good handle part.
Just a little guy.
I don't know if they were like fully gone or not. Because they were talking when we came in. Most skulls don't seem to be able to talk. And this close to the Ascalon Club, you might assume, you know, violence if you see a vampire approaching. They did attack us though, so what can you do?
Yeah, well, it's that begs the question:
plus
did they do that because they just are kind of mindless, or did they do that because they're like, oh, vampire, fuck? You know?
Yeah, it could be neither. But they did attack us, so
yeah,
we responded.
I love to just chat with them.
I were expecting to be chatting with them when we went in and they were talking.
Right? Shit, fuck, piss, ass.
Good thing you got confused when you went under that archway.
Jonathan, camera.
I do like that we found the de-aggro zone here. This could come in handy.
Right? She's such a small space. No. Fucking hell.
Oh, dang.
Couldn't get out of that one.
I really got you.
Yeah.
Grabs are a little wiggly in this.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We'll just have to do a murder again.
Yeah. Those big guys have always been the problem.
For real.
They don't they flinch for like half as long as everyone else when you hit them. So they can just respond to being hit in the front with immediately hitting you back.
Right?
The shotgun just hits a very vague area. It's really hard to tell if you're safe or not. And then
so
the grab
annoying.
is a grab, so it kind of sucks you in a little bit. And if you like touch the back of them while they're running, it'll still get you. Sorry, Kayshurrr.
No, that's fine. I was just gonna say I need to run and use the restroom dead quick. So I'm gonna go excuse me.
Fill up my water quick, man.
Yeah, this is a good break time. Go use the bathroom, get a snack, fill up your water. I was gonna wait a minute, but then I was like, I am very distracted by bladder, so
that's fair. It's speed time. Oh. I think my loud chair gave me away.
I'm back. Let's freaking go.
Nice.
I might have grabbed a snack too.
Oh, nice. Is it trail mix?
It's a chocolate bar.
Okay, that's allowed. You can keep eating chocolate bar.
Good, because I'm gonna. That man blew up.
Stun's more useful than the damage on the Oliver.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice to get like a little bit of damage in there, but honestly, just getting the enemy to just stop doing anything for a minute, perfect.
Well, yeah, you're doing like twice as much damage, just wailing on them while they're stunned, and then they do the AoE explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also lovely. Love that for them.
Stop! You have to stop! You can't just keep chasing me like that! Holy fuck!
He turned all the way around.
Fuck off! Oh my god.
Wasn't even worried.
Just a little worried. Jonathan, you actually have to hit the man.
Away!
It does kind of make me want to play Bloodborne.
It does, genuinely, like, just seeing, like, a screenshot from this game and looking at it. A problem that I think this game genuinely had is looking at the screen of this game makes you go, I should play Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Over there! There's one of them.
They did really good at making me want to play another video game.
It's a good looking game, is this? But it also looks quite a lot like Bloodborne. Like just like any game with this style of like architecture.
Yeah.
With people with torches wandering around like cobbled streets. I should play Bloodborne.
Ha! I was scared that I was going to eat a rat despite looking up at the thing. Okay. Well,
This woman's
That's a
body
dead
has
lady.
multiple lacerations. They're deep, too. Whoever did this was driven by rage.
We thinking Scal, Jonathan?
or somebody with really long fingernails.
It's real mad.
Oh my god. Stop looking at the poster. We don't need to look at the poster. We just need to do a loot. Another person. Oop, getting stuck on the bedpost.
He had his tongue removed and his eyes gouged out. He was a victim of brutal torture.
Still Scowl?
Scal's not tend like, I didn't get the sense
Methodically torture them?
Yeah, they just kind of eat.
This one's
flesh.
neck is broken. He was young. Probably the son.
Yeah, well, he's dead now.
I do know there can be more lucid than others.
Yeah.
Could be a werewolf.
Ooh.
Werewolves are real mad.
Fair
Don't know
point.
if they cut out someone's tongue, but I won't put it past them. Kind of the thing is being heckin' mad.
Right. Oh, who's... What?
Where is this person exactly? Where did we find them?
Right?
You thought I was dead too, didn't you?
Okay, we found the culprit.
Pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You
Okay, ma'am.
killed your family.
They mocked my talent.
Okay, well. No!
Oh! She's very
Please.
gunky.
Stop vomiting everywhere. This is hurting me. Why is it still going down?
Yeah, that did damage over time for a really long time, and it was really steep damage over time.
Jesus! Okay, we're exploding her a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense. Damage would have the explosion would have been crap anyway. She's raid
Super
resistant against blood.
yeah. Mostly just needed to get a couple of hits in there.
Absolutely.
Nice. Stop, get it off me.
He only like grazed that time. He didn't. Even the damage over time were very low.
Yeah, still scary. Oh,
Do have to like keep looking at your health bar when she's around though, because
right?
hard to tell.
Let's just heal up a little bit more. It's still going, and it's done. Okay.
It has annoyed me in this game. I don't think like any of the attacks that do really tiny amounts of damage over time. It just makes your health bar flash for no reason.
Yeah.
Like walking into the dude's torch when he's walking backwards, or getting extremely mildly gunked.
Yeah. It's obnoxious. So I don't know if I need to like. Do I need to panic about this? This is a panic-worthy situation, and usually it's not.
It does.
I should go to her.
Stop being like if there were lots of places where it were hard to tell if you'd been hit or not, it would be more of a thing.
Yeah.
But normally it's very easy to tell when Jonathan's got.
Yeah.
If this were Dark Souls 2.
Oh God. All of the hidden mechanics you could ever not want.
Your health bar suddenly flashing would make you think, did when I roll through that attack the game just decide to hit me anyway, or did I take 1 damage over time from something?
Travis will die on this hill.
Dead Space 2 is a good game, I agree.
Also, we're gonna stop in and say hi to Lady Ashbury, not because I want to, but because it's been a minute. Oh wait, no, this is the Ascalon Club.
Maybe we're gonna stop in at the Ascalon Club, I guess.
Anybody new here? Not really.
I don't think anyone comes here except these identical weirdos and the like 2 real NPCs.
Lord Redgrave can play with the brave all he wants, but I won't.
Okay, well, we'll go out this way then. This is
literally just these weird
clones.
Yeah, weird clones. Like rich boy vampires who refuse to ever go outside.
Yeah. Well, why would they go outside? They can't sit around and drink their wine outside.
You can drink wine outside.
No. If you drink wine outside, then anyone could join you.
Yeah, that's true. What if the paws arrive? What if the paws don't arrive, but I can sense them? I can smell them. Ugh.
I'd be forced to look at them if they even passed by. Horrible.
I'd be forced to think about them if I saw a public square.
Awful. this the way that I want to go? Not really.
Looks like we can get through, but might be wibbly.
Might take too long.
Yeah.
Stuck in a dead end.
You
Horrible.
went,
It was grumbling. Those
You
were my grumbling noises. Sometimes you just gotta grumble, okay?
Sometimes you be grumbling.
Had to grumble.
Do you reckon the rest of the NPCs hang out in the park?
Yeah, probably.
We'll have to go there at some point.
Yeah. I figure it doesn't hurt to progress the story a little bit more.
I don't think so.
And then we might have a little more, like, free reign in the area.
Yeah.
Unless...
No, it's the courtyard, I know, that's not the...
Yeah. I was wondering if maybe that this area was pre-Wen free, and it is not. So I was looking for enemies, but I noticed some.
Little dude over there.
Yeah. It's fine, I guess. I suppose. Where's the stupid lady? Ooh.
Just gonna be missing that Ferris Tartaret and Cardine.
Oh, this is Charlotte's diary. Okay. Could talk to her about that. We'll take the single spring. Thanks for that. Why are these so narrow? Ma'am, your house sucks?
It's locked.
Where is Lady? Oh.
Right, she crosses by. Very good timing. That's supposed to be us. Ma'am, why are you painting us?
Good evening, Jonathan. How
This
are
is
you?
weird. This is weird.
It's Van Gogh.
Of course. my dear.
Yeah, but he's got an ear.
How is
Yeah,
your
that's true.
investigation going?
I have decided to explore beyond the dictates of reason.
Gives her away a little bit.
You may on occasion find this house closed when you visit me. If so, it is because I have gone undercover. Sort of.
You're weird, Lady
Who
Ashbury.
are you going to
Honestly.
surveil? I hope you're not considering spying on McCullum or the Guard of Priwen.
No. I intend to ask a few questions in parts of town I rarely venture into. Dirty places where a delicate lady like myself should never be seen.
Dirty places where the poor are.
When will you return?
As soon as possible. And I don't intend to stay away
I'm gonna
for
disguise myself as one of the paws. I'll be invisible.
I have investigated new sources of infection, and I may have found
Hello,
a
fellow
new
kid.
type of skull.
I'm one of you.
One suffering from heavy mutations that is
Hello, fellow
extremely
youths.
contagious.
Scowls come in various forms, you know. They are simply degenerate versions of their makers.
I believe these families are different, and I'm currently pursuing a lead. I know I can find the true source of contagion by finding who created these creatures.
That would be great news. Be very careful, my dear, when dealing with such creatures.
They're fine.
There are many paintings adorning the walls here.
Yes?
Did you paint them?
No, my dear. But some of them. I have had a
Please
long
stop
time to
saying
learn
my
from
dear.
the best.
For
I'm
real.
currently working on what could be...
I
You
don't
were doing
know
my
you.
friend who was already weird.
What is this?
I'm not your
Your
friend.
portrait, my dear Jonathan. It will be my gift to you if I ever have time
Thanks,
to
I'll
finish
put it
it.
right here on the fridge, where everyone can see it.
Have you met any famous painters?
Are you trying to divine my age by cross-checking historical dates, my dear? That's a devious parlor
It's not what's
Well,
happening.
Elizabeth, I tried my best. Don't I deserve some reward at least?
Well,
Oh.
if you must know, I even posed for the greats. Now that you know it, you may recognize me when visiting museums.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Goodbye, my dear.
Goodbye.
Literally all she had to say? Oh my god! Useless woman!
Let's try and avoid talking to her if we can.
Yeah, I had assumed that there would be some useful information, because when we talk to Edgar, we get useful information, but I assumed wrong.
And she's actually a vampire. She should know about stuff.
Right?
Aw.
No, she knows absolutely nothing and just wants to be a weird little freak.
Jeez.
I don't like her. I don't like her. Also, we have like almost 10,000 experience points.
Yeah, we're a
Hey.
good poet though. We had for breakfast.
Delicious box we had earlier. My favorite. Bad poet. Just gonna...
Good luck, boys.
have a good time. Excuse me? Excuse me? Fuck!
Wow.
I cannot enter.
Why? But that's where I need to go. Game, I need to go in there. You have to loot the trash can when I tell you to loot the trash can, Jonathan. I've gone complete wrong way. I was gonna like...
Right way.
Right! I think they killed the vampire.
Oh, good job.
Just...
Vampire was very inattentive and did not notice them sprinting up behind him to bop him on the head.
Right?
But, you know. Definitely has more health than they do.
Hey, not even an issue. Okay, can I? Oh,
You London vampires! It's him again.
it's him again. I don't want to be here with him.
It's locked.
Excuse me, just passing through. Yeah, don't mind me.
We have been here before.
Yeah. Ah! I'm out of stamina. I'm out of stamina. No!
Oh, jeez. You got really bopped.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
I guess he does also have a big stick.
Stupid stick.
The one weakness of vampires is often
Bigger stick.
mistranslated. A wooden stick, that's how you do it.
Okay, hold on.
I think you were going the right way. I thought you were going the right way.
That just leads back. I just unlocked our door. The door that was locked. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's fine. No! Jonathan, you fool!
Jonathan.
Okay.
Oh, Jonathan, go to theater.
I want to go to the theater. Let me in.
I want to see the shows.
Why? Please. There has to be a way in. And you would think it... Oh my god. Listen, I don't have time for your shit.
he like this? Why are you like this, Vampire Man?
I'm through a building! Idiot. Horrible goblin man.
Horrible goblin man.
Like him, I don't appreciate him. Can I do anything from up here? No. Okay.
Just go anywhere else. We're getting kind of far away from the building we're trying to go in.
Right,
Do we
see
go through a different building into this building?
Maybe. The issue is, most of the area that it has highlighted is inaccessible.
Yeah.
So, like, I could try from, like, over here. Oh my god, please, cursor. No.
I guess we gotta try from over there and just hope that we can go through that building into the theater.
Yeah. Also, let me get rid of that marker. It's just very silly.
Silly.
Listen.
Building. I don't know how to get anyone to watch the shows.
Shows can't be that good.
You have to answer my riddles 3 to get to the door that lets you into the theater.
Horrible. Wait. Here?
There's an open window on the second floor.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I should be able to get in through that.
Okay, Jonathan, stop talking. I can't get in if you're talking. It's locked, sir.
It's locked, all right.
How? Where do I get a key?
On window. It's fine. On window. We're good.
That's not open. It's closed.
It's open now. We opened it.
Listen. Horrible.
It was ajar.
No, it was a window. Cool, great. We're here now. I can't stand the pain anymore. God have mercy on me and my immortal soul, since I refuse to be an accomplice to this devilry.
That got scalified.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites.
Oh no.
For in front of you stands the tall queen.
Can that be Doris Fletcher's voice? Where does it come from?
The stage. It's coming from the stage, Jonathan. Hello.
You a gunk lady?
Yep.
Oh, she's a gunk lady.
Well, it's fine. Maybe it's not fine. Oh, maybe it's not fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Also, what's down here, though? Anything? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Great! Looting? Okay. I assume that's where we go. But there was a door over here that I could open.
Yeah, blood sample.
Many can
Nice.
testify to her kindness.
Is she just floating?
Beauty. For now she
Have
hides
to
in
say.
shadow, ugly as sin.
It's just stage magic, Cash. It's wires.
Oh, I see. I understand. Oh. Old Doris Fletcher's diary, as opposed to the new Doris Fletcher's diary? Okay, saw some weird stuff. She's tripping out. Reliving some trauma about her mother. Girl, same. Okay. This theater has seen better days.
Yeah.
So. Hello. Fuck. Oh! That's a problem. That's a problem.
Hey, the goop and whoppers.
Yeah. Sir, I was dodging. Okay. Nope, nope, nope.
She went, wow, whoa, wow. Flooded.
Yeah. It's kind of dramatic, honestly, if you ask me.
Typical
Don't-
vampire stuff.
Don't want to leave, but I want to unlock it, so I'm gonna unlock it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's gonna be 2 loading screens, but what can you do?
This means I never have to unlock it ever again.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. I like that for me.
Yeah. Unless we outside and the dude's there, but you London vampires are so weak. Okay, no, we're good.
Everything is fine, actually. Here's the thing. It's fine?
It's fine.
Come on, load screen. Perfect.
It's trying to load all those vampires.
Too many. Okay, then I did want to finish looking around up here.
Nice.
Another balcony.
Woe to you.
She do be floating.
It's a little. It's wires. Stage magic.
Oh no. That doesn't
You heard about
unlock.
the Spider-Man stage play that tried to. The Spider-Man musical?
No.
I have to look that up. It didn't work out.
I wonder why.
I cannot enter.
People get all twisted up in the wires.
Call Spider-Man. Only he can save me now.
You who dared enter my realm. Are you here to worship or mock me?
I'm here to do a murder,
I'm here
probably.
To put an end to the vampire epidemic, Miss Fletcher.
She's gonna have a big old lumpus under there.
But Doris Fletcher is no more. She was consumed by this putrid flesh that now enshrouds her.
You feel anger for what happened to you, but I can help you. I'm a doctor, Miss Fletcher.
Doris Fletcher is no more. All that remains.
Oh my god. Theater kid vampire.
And the queen she'll be. Until then, all shall die. For that
Ma'am?
was her final wish. Whoa, and I summon thee.
Let's enter the amp thing later.
Fight.
You got a second fall. A bit fancy with the swordsmanship than
I was hoping that would still. Yeah.
Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she. Will she be the queen again once this
Fuck! Fuck! All y'all need to get away from me.
Where these little weirdos come from?
Stop! Well, that's not exactly what I wanted to have happen, but hey. Stop!
Seems rough.
Ma'am? Oh my god. This is some bullshit.
Yeah, it's the ads.
Oh,
They're really, really tough for just guys who turn up.
right? It's already bad enough that she spits out the fart cloud.
Yeah.
That hurts
And
me,
it's the
but
big one rather than the small one that looks identical.
yo, and I have no blood.
Oh,
I
a
have
little bit of blood.
I have none blood, and I have none syringes.
No orange.
No orange.
Got a couple syringes.
Please?
Oh, right, it's not health, it's just blood. Can we use those, or are those stuck on the down button?
I can probably move them. But I also want to...
Ooh.
There's a regeneration serum. Okay. The stamina and regeneration ones look the same.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Your blood will be mine.
Okay, listen, I don't mind that we're skipping the cutscene, but I wish that I had had some sort of indication that that was going to be the case.
Yeah, she was already mid-sword move.
Touche.
Touche!
Okay, yeah, refill my blood, please.
Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she whose beauty was once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate?
You are taking blood. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking damage and my stamina wasn't going up either.
Ooh,
Which was a bit of an issue.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Fuck off. Jonathan, you have to move.
The bite is like the least dangerous move in this boss fight. Just gives you a second to reorient and does like 1 damage. Aye.
Fuck. I'm in a corner.
That damage over time is huge sometimes.
That was instant.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of hitting my button to get health back. And
It was like 1.5 dashes of health you had left.
yeah.
You had a fair bit of health left.
Oh.
At least we can use
Okay.
any syringes so we
Woe
can get
unto
fucking
thee,
done.
son of
Right?
Babylon. I smell your fear.
It's possible. I need to
Yeah,
roll
we'll
up for this, but you do have the blood, right?
give it a couple of tries. Probably like 1 or 2 more tries, honestly.
Yeah, it's the
then we'll-
attacks.
They're so ridiculous.
It's a big AoE, and also those do like super poison. Those do toxic on you.
Kinslayer, the disgrace of she whose beauty was once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate?
Do have the ult, and it does stun her.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. It doesn't stun her in this spot.
Fucking hell. I wonder if I just did it too soon, because she was still monologuing.
Possibly.
Jesus.
Ah.
I'm trying!
Come to me, my servants. Avenge me.
Don't do it.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Okay, so what? Cool, love this for me.
Yeah, really hard to get in when she has this big AoE and keeps summoning people, and you really can't afford to get hit by that tentacle, huh?
Nope.
Because it does like more damage than anything else in the game, even though it takes up half the room.
Yeah.
It's just being real heckin' patient and finding your moment here. I think she might be vulnerable while she's summoning the ads, even though she will just keep summoning them. And ult is back up.
Jonathan, you have to do the thing.
Oh, she looks stunned.
Fuck off.
Oh, she was for a second. That's gonna do it. I think we're out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He wouldn't move. He wasn't moving? He refused to move?
I think you'd have died from the damage over time anyway.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. I think if we level up, we'll just take less damage from all the hits, even though like none of the level up things do that.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is that she just has a high number. The number Jonathan's thinking of is too low.
Stupid. It's fine. We can leave and level up.
Not a good
Stop
boss.
honking at me. I get. I'm fine with the idea of having to level up, but it's the fact that it's like, even if we do, we still have her and then at least 2 ads at any given time that just infinitely respawn pretty dang quickly. And she can hit me when I'm from way across the room, but she can also fill the space between us instantly and hit me then. Her hitbox is very wiggly and I don't understand it, because I've been behind her a couple of times and gotten wrecked. Hey, do you want to... He had a very funny voice that I was not anticipating for a man of his size. Come here, buddy.
Sometimes if she hits you, you just kind of die a couple seconds later.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of dying, personally.
No,
Hey.
it's not great.
Yo, come here.
It's not what we want.
No. Come here. Hey.
Foolish.
Come here.
To make the big man fight the small man.
Yeah. Fuck off! Why do you keep walking away?
They're right there! You're not getting him! He's not even hiding! I think this priest is just broken. He's just out for a stroll.
They don't like going to the wrong areas, I've noticed.
Oh, like when we had to leave the werewolf in through the door that closed.
He got so lost. He didn't know what was happening.
Kept going up into the corner.
Sir, you will do no such thing. Alright. There are no hideouts in this area.
Awful.
Yeah. There's one.
Okay. That's our house, right?
Maybe? Or is that
well,
our
we can
house?
definitely go to our house. I thought we were in Whitechapel, but I might be wrong. No, wait, it's in West End. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, never mind. Okay, I said anything.
This might be closer, though.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
It is nicer there, though. There's, like, the area with NPCs.
There.
No, there's the street with NPCs on it rather than people who are trying to murder you.
a nicer area, you know?
Well, that too.
Yeah, there's less that we have to fight on our way there, which, like, I'm not opposed to doing the fighting. I'm just a little annoyed at the moment. That's all.
Just want to get there and get back as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. No
We can beat the boss fight, and then we can eat the landlord as a treat.
Yeah. Then we'll probably call it there. I was like, I wanna wrap things up, but I know if we wait until this next week, then I'm gonna come back and I'm not gonna know how to fight anymore.
You're gonna forget to eat the landlord, and we can't have that.
Yeah. Where is? Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Trying to find the inn.
Hi, I was told I could do a nap here. Is it up there? All right, listen
We might have
here.
to fight these boys. Game has decided you fight boys today.
Fuck hell. Come here.
Where are you going?
Away. Don't fart on me.
Fired right on you.
Oh.
You got fired entirely on.
Oh my god.
And then she died, and then she fired on you again.
And then I'm gonna die again.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna fucking die.
Recover from the fat.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh. Horrible creatures. Oh, this is our house.
Your house.
Why
That house,
is
like-
our backyard so horrible? Oh. Oh. Got kind of excited there for a second.
Just want the treatments, game.
Right? Listen,
Wanna
you
be
want me
able
to stay
cure a headache?
right? You want me to stay on top of making sure everyone's good and fine and healthy? Well, can't do that. Don't give me the thing. Check it out.
We actually ran out of aluminium? How did that happen?
We have lots of powder and
Not
stuff,
parts.
but not parts.
That's fine.
None parts, unless. Yeah.
Just box of pets. So many pets.
Look at us
We
freaking
just-
go.
I don't know what we do. We're just adding forks into this big club. Like
Instead of
forks on
nails,
the
you just
end.
stab forks into it. Yeah. Hey. And then we were gonna do stun damage.
Yeah.
21
Pretty dang
stun. Good stick. And then just for good measure. Doesn't hurt to stay on top of those.
Yeah.
We have so much opium.
So much opium.
Opium, more like dopium.
That's what they used to say back in the day.
Alright, let's do a quick level up. I want that health. I want that stamina.
Nice.
I want more blood.
Could
What?
definitely use a bigger blood meter.
2 more blood.
I would like 2 blood, please.
Alright, and then you can also get bigger blood cauldron. And this. I can't remember which one we were gonna do.
I think the bottom one was... No, the top one's health regen? So we were
Instant
like,
health gain
that
for
sounds
better-
kind of ass.
So we were doing the bottom one?
And the bottom one is actually gives you the health right away and also reduces recovery time. It does make the cost go up though.
Yeah.
How much does the old one heal? That's
50.
not a good trade either way.
Yeah.
15 extra points for 50 extra health? That's crazy. That does cost less. I don't know how much regen it does.
Yeah, it doesn't really say, does it? I mean, the regen
Oh no, it costs
on
5 more. Costs very slightly more.
which isn't horrible.
At least it's not 15. It's not twice as much.
Yeah.
2.5 times. I know, I was thinking that one before, but I didn't realize how much the cost went up.
Yeah. Regen isn't horrible on what we have currently, so I just assume that, like, regen is a little better, but I do like the heal.
It'd just be very nice if it told you how much it healed over time and over how
Yeah.
long. It could just give you all the numbers instead of some of them.
Right?
Does
You
the
get
cost
an-
go back down in the later upgrades for that?
This remains at 200, and this goes up to 500. I think we're gonna take the bottom one.
Okay.
I am committing. We have committed.
Instant heal does is what we use it for rather than regen.
Yeah.
Because it's oh no, I'm at 1 hit point. I need to have some hit points.
I need to not
Kinda
be
what-
dying right now.
Yeah.
We considered. Do that as well. We do bites often enough.
Yeah.
And not necessarily for the heal, but the heal is very nice. Okay.
It's just a real handy move.
Yeah.
It does it all.
Okay, how is West End doing? Still the same. Great.
West End, feeling fine. Oh no, a poet died.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Everyone's
One guy
super
got
sick,
ill, and
though.
something horrible happened to a poet. Yet to see it.
Darius and Clayton are ill.
Oh, Darius.
Benjamin
I like
is-
him.
Same. Benjamin is still fucking exploding. His brain is not happy.
No.
Great. Pembroke is doing wonderfully. You love to
Yeah.
see it. It's just her
One
poor,
guy who's
poor
he's
Oswald.
irreparably inflicted with a terminal headache.
Right? Okay, and the docs are still healthy. Can't help Einid just yet. So it's really just Whitechapel that's suffering, huh?
Yeah.
We
just a
can fix
little
that.
bit.
We can fix that. That can
The
get
big
fixed.
drop was from the poet exploding, I think.
Yeah.
Someone has drank him. What could have happened?
Oh no, why am I in here? I've already done that. Okay. Get rid of
We
that.
don't know anything about it.
Definitely wasn't involved, didn't do anything, just like with my sister. Didn't do nothing.
Who's sister? Never heard of her. Dang, the damage.
Fucking blew up. Perfect. This is what we want.
Yeah. Perfect stick.
Who's honking? Who honk? Why honk?
Sometimes it's okay for a game to say, hey, actually use your level ups and stuff. It's also a really annoying, silly boss fight.
Yeah. Oh.
No admittance.
That's fine. Not doing nothing. Wait. That's fine. I'll just go through here. Don't mind me. Oh. Wait. No, I unlocked the front door. I don't need to go through here, actually. Sorry, just passing on by. Well, that's okay. I'm not a civilian. I am a doctor. I go where I want. Okay. Let's do this.
Right back in.
We beat the lady. We eat a we eat a man. Landlord. That's the word I was looking for.
Victory landlord.
Victory landlord. Crack open a man with the cold ones. Maybe do a quick run around and heal some folks. We'll see. See how I'm feeling.
It's only a couple and they're all in the same place.
Yeah. No farts. Excuse me. Jonathan, you have to have stamina. Is the thing? Here's the thing, Jonathan. You have to have stamina.
Jonathan will never have stamina.
Farts need to clear away.
It's locked.
We'll just go up here. We'll go find the lady. Be like, Doris, you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We hate you,
silly.
Auntie Gunk Cow.
Right? Bad gunkus arm. Hold on.
Why she got bad gunk arm?
She got the bad gunk arm.
Why are we gunking over here?
We'll start with the small ones.
My blade shall pierce your villainous heart. Touché.
I didn't do anything, lady. It's the gunk arm. That were 1,000 damage.
Is shaking.
You love to see it.
Jonathan makes a very silly noise when he does it by.
He's very dramatic.
If she talks about summoning people, it means she is summoning people, but also she's vulnerable.
Yeah.
So keep an ear out for that. Like, she raises her arm like she's gonna attack, but she's actually just summoning.
Fuck.
Like, I genuinely think the only tell is the dialogue. Because the rest of it's the same as the one for her incredibly damaging tentacle whip. Oh. Oh shit, there's 3 of them.
Fuck! Oh!
Oh, what's happening to her head?
I think that's just what it looks like.
What?
I think it's supposed to look like that.
And I did not come to kill you, Miss Fletcher.
Will you spare me then? Save this cadaverous carcass of mine.
No, it's bad.
Does your heart beat a little faster now? You fancy me then, Doctor?
No.
No, Miss Fletcher. My dead heart will beat for only one.
It's Dr. Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Is she pretty?
He's the most handsomest.
To me, yes.
Ah! I hate her already.
I know. And this is partly why you
What
must
is
be
happening?
destroyed.
I have no idea.
But you just said.
That I did not come here to kill you, yes. But I realize now the threat you embody must be stopped.
Well, that's fair. Like, we probably should kill her. If the option came up, we would probably have picked that. She is gone. And we know that you can't just let skulls who are crazy run around.
Yeah.
We learned that.
You were Doris Fletcher.
It's
The
just a
greatest
very strange
actress of her generation. No one can take that from you.
Thank you.
She gonna gonna set herself on fire?
I think she might be
Yeah.
on fire.
Of course she would. It's so dramatic. Anybody want to go for barbecue?
Farewell, Doris.
Not that one.
Bravo! So dramatic.
Oh, this
I love
fuckhead.
McCullum.
How strange I seem to find you whenever I'm inquiring about that scab
More like
infestation.
McDummum.
I mean you no harm.
I'm not here for you. But once I put all the pieces of the puzzle together, I'm sure we'll have a little chat.
Oh no.
You and me.
Stay away from me, McCullum. You and all your war dogs.
That I can't guarantee, Dr. Reed. But I'll let you go. For now.
We could have taken all those
I should
notes.
probably leave the theater right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's just heal up real fast.
It's locked.
They're
all
probably
right.
going to burn down the theater though, so you know.
Yeah.
The West End should be safe now. But London
It's time
is
to
not.
go.
It would be wise to benefit from the Ascalon's protection while I continue my research during the Great Hunt.
Also, new Doris flesh. I was joking. I was joking when I was making the old versus new Doris joke, but hey, I guess they weren't. That's fine.
Also, 4 levels and a weapon upgrade made quite a lot of difference. The poor lady got the lead.
Yeah. No, again, my issue isn't necessarily that they're like, oh, well, you have to go do a level up. It's just that was a very silly boss fight.
Yeah, it'd have been fine if like it's that she like hits the whole room with AoE attacks and you can't afford to be hit by it or you just die.
So Doris just needed
And
to
like
be
it's
close
so
to her
annoying
audience
just
to
waiting for an opening with so many
contagion
enemies
through
running
sleep.
around.
Yeah.
Very disturbing.
Do I have to? Okay, hold on. Let's go find the man. Yeah, everyone else is fine. We can't heal anybody else. What do you have? Migraine, right. And then a cold and some fatigue. And a 1,000 experience landlord as a treat.
Full landlord, 100%
landlord.
capacity.
My god.
This tiny shriveled hair is working overtime.
Matt, that's what I want. We want to go to Whitechapel. Hey, hey,
Who
hey!
did that? Unbelievable.
Rude.
I like straight up don't think we should be supporting the Ascalon Club against the Guard of Bruin. I mean, like,
can we just choose not to?
Jonathan, are you really like joining the Ascalon Club, or are you just looking like you're joining the Ascalon Club so they don't bother you? You have to tell us. We're holding the controller.
I have an idea of what we're doing, but I need you to tell me what you're doing.
Come on in.
Darius, let me make you feel better, okay? Hey, bud.
But like, if the Ascalon take out the Guard of Bruin, that's
Do you
pretty
need some help,
expected.
Mr.
That's nice. Thanks.
am
That
very
those annoying
tired,
guys are gone
that is
now.
all. I
If
don't
the Guard
need
of
you,
Bruin take
Doctor.
out the Ascalon Club, I think they've just like stopped a
Well,
great
I think
evil.
you
This
do.
is this is very handy. Good job. Good job.
Either
lad.
way, we're happy with it, but I don't necessarily want to assist one way or the other.
Yeah.
How is Nurse Crane these days?
I don't know what you told her, what kind of deal you made, but Dorothea seems less anxious recently.
Good.
Thank you for that, Dr. Reed.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia.
Can everyone stop being
florist.
weird about
I do not
Camellia? She
believe
just
in
does.
the
She's just a
afterlife,
lady who
Doctor,
doesn't talk.
but I'm almost
Right.
convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Okay.
Did you refuse to publish Richard Nivicoff's
I
previous
am.
works, Darius?
Yes.
Thank you for the lurk,
His
friend.
manuscript is as
Hope you're doing
pompous
well.
as he is starched. No, there's a man
As he
who loves
was.
the sound of his own voice.
You could have told him so.
As a great writer recently said, politeness is the most acceptable hypocrisy.
Okay.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
I think we'd already done those. I don't know why they didn't show up as done.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I like him.
Darius is cool. Hey, buddy. I got a
Mr.
major
Bates.
thirst.
Evening, Doctor.
Where are we going, buddy? Where's a good dark corner for us to do and eat? Wish we could walk a little faster, but hey. It's fine, I
Yeah.
guess.
Sprint to the corner to eat the landlord. Put him in the trash. Do you always try and hide the body in some trees or something?
Yeah. I think it's funny.
That's
I
cool.
don't
Yeah.
I don't have to, because it'll tell me when I can eat a man and not be spotted.
Yeah.
But I think
Was
it's
that
funnier if I
evil
just
to deserve such punishment.
yes.
My only
Yeah.
regret is that no one will mourn me.
That in and of
I
itself
have
should
never been loved.
tell you everything you need to know. Perfect. Alright, and then we need to find the boy. The man. The journalist.
I don't have your money. Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for
Where is he?
It's by the. I thought it was this way.
Yeah,
That's
so did
probably the
I.
exact opposite.
To be fair, I also thought that that's where he was. Ah, Clayton, there
There
you
he
are.
is.
Hey, pal.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
No, but can I help you?
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught you in my investigation.
You're just tired, is
If
the
you
thing.
persist in investigating the most
You're just
pox-ridden
sleepy.
boroughs
Go
of
take a
London,
nap.
you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Eee. Alright.
Goodbye, Mr.
Hey.
And that should be everyone that we can help for the time being. We have
Yeah,
done
that were
lots of big murders in here, haven't we?
just a couple, and one of them was one of them. I don't think killing him is gonna like meaningfully affect the district.
No,
Yet again.
definitely not.
Did
but-
a little bit for the for Richard.
Horrible, bad.
He was a very bad poet and kind of a creep.
Right? Listen, he had it coming.
And he was worth quite a lot of blood, so you know, it's just.
What's this? Not that we're doing it now. I just wanted to. Oh, it's not. Okay.
Weird.
Huh. Well, you missed a chomp. We ate the bad poet man.
We had
Not
the
the bad
landlord
poet man.
just
We ate a
now,
landlord.
yeah.
The other one. The other bad man that we hated. And it would have just saved, wouldn't it? Alright. But I
He
think
should have done
that's...
after he ate the man.
Yeah.
After he's finished talking to the guy at Lulladon.
Yeah. Yeah, we ate a landlord. He was bad.
Good evening.
Landlord is good.
We're so close.
I have had
It's
enough.
unfortunate that Whitechapel is the place that is full of all the bad people that we hate.
Yeah, we could
But-
always do the lady who's the head of the Wet Boot Boys.
True. It's more just that this place in general is gonna suffer a lot just from us doing a big ol' eat.
I mean, she's in a different one. I can do
Yeah.
that. We do want to eat the priest, though. He's
He's bad. He's
not
a bad
good.
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it for today. I think that's it for today. We went for 3 hours. We did a lot. We accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. We ate a lot of people. We did a lot of story. We found a lot of things. So
We're officially in new territory now. Everything we see is completely new.
yeah, we hadn't done the theater last time, but like it's all new from here on out, and that's very exciting for me.
We've done like way more of the side quests this time as well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of new stuff sprinkled in there, but for main story, like this is it. It's all new. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, we'll do more of that probably this next weekend. But for now, we need to find somebody to raid into. I've got Nimbly and Flowers on. Y'all want to go say hi to Flowers? She's doing some Dwarf Fortress.
I'm always down to say hi to Flowers. Oh, Nimbly, we did do Flowers last time.
Yeah. Nimbly's doing more Zelda.
It's always the Zeld.
It's always the Zeld. Big lore keeping stuff today, I think, though. It's all... What all y'all... We'll go raid Flowers, but just know that Nimbly is on doing some Zeld stuff if you want to get Zelded. You want a good Zeldin? Go hang out with Nimbly. But yeah, I'm excited to do more of this, and see what all is gonna happen, because I don't know what's going on. And thanks as always for hanging out. It's always fun. I like it.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Still vamping and
yeah. To do a chomp on all the horrible guys, and we love that for us.
Doing a lot of chomps.
So this was a chomp happy stream. But yeah, we're gonna go say hi to Flowers. Until next time, have a good one, friends.
Yeah. Bye, friends.